Move up? He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing? I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
This is Nnamdi Asamoah. I play football for the Philadelphia Eagles, but what I do off the field with United Way might be more important. I'm a volunteer tutor and mentor. Why? Because over 1 million kids a year drop out of school, and that's not okay. It takes 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes about the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be me, or it could be you. Studies show that if we get to these kids earlier, their chances are better, and kids who read well by 3rd grade are more likely to graduate. So join me in United Way. Suit up and take the pledge. Become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor, because when a child succeeds, we all succeed. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Take the pledge at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way, the Ad Council, and the National Football League.
They'll challenge your authority. They'll try to break your will. They'll push you to the edge of your sanity. Because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory, not theirs. Defend it. Who makes the payments? Who cleans it? Who drives it? You do. That's who. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch. Until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
Let's go inside the mind of a 10-year-old.
I should have worn those earrings today. I like those earrings. Gabby has those awesome earrings. I need to ask her where she got those, but that's just what she would want me to do. I'll have Michaela ask her for me.
Buckle up, Sarah.
Yeah, but then Michaela will be like, why don't you just ask her yourself? That's just like Michaela.
Sarah, buckle up.
Michaela's such a great name. I wish I was called Michaela. There's like a dozen Sarahs in my class.
Hey, we're not hitting the road until you buckle up, honey.
Oh yeah, seatbelt. I forget sometimes because my brain is like busy, you know? I wonder if there's pizza at school today.
Sometimes it can be tough to get through to your kids, but it's not impossible. Always make sure they're wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Remember, you have the keys, you have the power. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
Do current market conditions have you nervous? Our experienced team of financial professionals at Heritage Harbor Financial Associates understands that no two investors are alike. We all have different goals, needs, and appetites for risk. That's why the one-size-fits-all approach does not work, especially when planning for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stock, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers securities through AXA Advisors, LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC. Annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network, LLC.
Be fearless at MMA Long Island and Seituha Karate. Located at 28 Colt Court in Ronkonkoma, MMA Long Island is the martial arts school for you if you want to learn combat-proven techniques, build confidence, discipline, and self-esteem while learning real martial arts to fight back against bullies, predators, and peer pressure. MMA Long Island offers group and private lessons for all ages and levels in traditional Goju-Ryu Karate, MMA, and self-defense. MMA Long Island is one of Long Island's most affordable martial arts schools. There are no promotion, belt, or membership fees, and family discounts are available. All classes are taught by 7th degree black belt Sensei John Benedict with over 30 years teaching experience. So whether you want to get in the ring or protect yourself and your family, MMA Long Island can help you reach your goals. Visit MMALongIsland.com. That's MMALongIsland.com or call or text 516-381-9660. That's 516-381-9660.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit him online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next-door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Okay, Simon, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. And what do people normally wear?
Clothes.
Exactly. So now Mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Clothes keep us warm, they look good, and if we go out without them, the neighbors will talk. So it's important to know how to get dressed. Here's how it's done. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. If you're wearing a tie, it goes over, round, through, and pull tight. Tuck your shirt into your pants and zip up your flap. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears.
I love bunnies.
Good to know. Now remember, spots don't go with stripes, socks don't go with sandals, and if you've tucked in your shirt, wear a belt. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives and the Ad Council.
So you see, son, good manners are very, very important. Someday, many years from now, when you're a grown-up, you'll be a man. And when you are, You should be a gentleman. Do you want me to go through it one more time?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open for ladies. If a door's shut, then knock first. Don't burp, don't swear, don't speak with your mouth full, don't reach across people's plates, keep your elbows off the table.
What table?
And don't interrupt. While we're at it, don't stare, don't use foul language, don't call people names, but do remember people's names. Always share your toys, play nice, and cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. On the bus, give up your seat to anyone who has trouble standing. Bottom line, treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
Do current market conditions have you nervous? Our experienced team of financial professionals at Heritage Harbor Financial Associates understands that no two investors are alike. We all have different goals, needs, and appetites for risk. That's why the one-size-fits-all approach does not work, especially when planning for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stock, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers securities through AXA Advisors LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC. Annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network LLC.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. And that's what you have here. That's what you've earned here tonight.
Forget about the crowd. It's the size of the school. Their fancy uniforms. And remember what got you here. If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game, in my book, we're going to be winners.
On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch because we know when we add up all those inches, that's going to make the f***ing difference between winning and losing.
It's down to the wire with Errol Marks and Speedy Petey.
Oh, Petey!
On the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Hello! You like that, Speedy? Do I have to give it a little bit more oomph? A little more oomph?
Why not?
Hello, Long Island, New York, and around the country. This is Down to the Wire. I'm your host, Errol Marks. My co-host, Mr. Tidy Whitey himself, Speedy Petey. What's going on, man? How are you?
A little more rattled since of what we were talking about off air, but beyond that, I'm fine.
Do you want to talk about that before we get into the sports?
No, I'm good.
You sure?
I endured enough of it for the last 15, 20 minutes.
I think it would be very nice for all the fans to hear what we do.
No, I don't think so.
You sure?
I'm good.
Because I think it's really, really cool, and I think everybody would like to meet your mom.
No.
You sure? You're positive on
I'm
that?
sure 90% of the people
trying to help
listening
here.
do not know
I'm
who she
trying
is.
to help here. Speedy, I'm trying to help here. So does anybody want to know a little bit about Speedy's mom? Yes or no?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Anyways, remember you can listen to our show.
At that. No reaction.
Well, it's just me and you here. I mean,
not a single reaction in the comments.
Well,
section.
I'm just trying to help you here. As you guys know, you can listen to our show every single Monday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. New York Eastern Time. Only on what channel, Speedy?
On the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
That's right. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Download our app on iOS, WWSRN, or Android. Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You sure you don't want to get into that first?
I am 100%
I think
sure.
it would be
I've never been more sure in my life.
Well, she's part of my family, too. You know, we hang out together.
Every family tree will say otherwise.
Anyways, we got a great show lined up for you guys. At 6:30, we will be talking to former NFL and XFL running back and founder of Memoriibrand Mack Brown, who played for the Washington football team, the Vikings, the Raiders, and he was invited.
He was a training camp invite for the Raiders. He was.
Why would you put that there? Just say he was invited to the Raiders.
The year they were on Hard Knocks.
All right, 7:15. We will be talking to two-time Super Bowl champion, defensive tackle, and College Football Hall of Fame media member Tony Casillas. So he will be joining us. He played for the Falcons, the Cowboys, and the Jets, and he was the second pick in 1986, right behind who, Speedy?
Bo Jackson.
Bo Jackson. So he'd be joining us. We'll have a little bit of fun with him. And by the way, he actually, he helps out with Oklahoma. And I can't stand Spencer Ratliff. So I can't wait to get him on and kind of argue a little bit with him about Spencer. But anyways, before we get into the sports conversation, it is raining here in Long Island, New York. It's absolutely disgusting. We've had snow, and now we're having a lot of rain. I think we've had a monsoon of rain today. I think we've had about 2 to 3 feet, right?
Sounds about right.
I'm just kidding. I would say about 4 or 5 inches we've had today. It's been terrible. But all in all, it's Long Island weather, and hopefully soon we'll move to spring, my birthday, and I'll be 39 years old and an old man. Anyways, first things first, I want to get into free agency. Definitely for the Jets and the Giants, being that we're here in New York, and some other teams will be looking for some fill-in positions moving forward. So let's go into the Jets first. We were talking yesterday. By the way, shout out to Weapons Hot. Great show last night. I was actually a guest on the show. Jimmy, CJ, and the great Kevin Jackson. Great show. A lot of arguing, a lot of thoughts going back and forth when it comes to Sam Darnold and where the Jets have to go in free agency. So first things first, I want to get into the New York Jets. And with the Jets, they're still kind of contemplating on what they're going to do at the quarterback position. We've been talking about this the last couple of weeks. And there's a story coming out that I've read today that the Jets will not decide on what they're doing with Sam Darnold until they go to all the pro days for all the quarterbacks and see who would fit the culture and the offense that they're going to be running this year. So we're not going to know where Sam Darnold is going to go probably until 2-3 weeks before the draft. I think that's when you're going to probably hear where he is going. But all in all, when you look at the quarterback position, we can look at 3 possible position changes with this quarterback. And not position, I'm sorry. Outcomes with this quarterback. Now, you look at Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is a guy that really never got an opportunity, never really got a chance to show everybody how good he really is in a good offense, under a good offensive coordinator, under a good coach, and really not really a good offensive line and not enough weapons on the outside. So Sam Darnold is an option for the Jets. I know a lot of Jet fans don't want to hear that, and that will set the Jets back. And we've heard C.J. Mosley, we've heard Kevin, and I think Jimmy Jardine, actually, he didn't agree with me, but you can look at the basis of where the Jets are going, and if you think you can win with Sam Darnold, build around this offensive line in free agency, maybe through the draft as well, add some offensive weapons, especially getting the number 2 pick and the number 23rd pick, you can really solidify what your team is moving forward with Robert Saleh. Now, I understand why Jet fans don't want to see Sam Darnold under the helm. I understand. And I understand why everybody thinks that Sam Darnold's not going to be a good quarterback in this league, because even with bad coaching, when he had enough time in the pocket, he didn't release the ball in places and positions where his players can succeed. But here's the thing, and I'm not going to get into the whole Sam Darnold thing because we've talked enough about Sam Darnold. The thing is, when you look at the quarterback position in football, everybody knows this. If you watch football, and I'm sure everybody that listens to this show is a big football fan, you know that you have to put the quarterback in a good position to win. The reason why Patrick Mahomes is so good, not because Patrick Mahomes is so good. He's got the best tight end in football. He has one of the best wide receivers in football. He has Sammy Watkins when healthy. He's a good secondary wide receiver. They've got good running game. They have a good running game. They have a very good offensive line when healthy. And you saw, if Patrick Mahomes doesn't have a good offensive line or a healthy offensive line, he is not going to succeed. You saw it in the Super Bowl. The reason why Shaq Barrett and JPP got to him is because he didn't have the offensive line help. Any quarterback that played under that position, under that circumstances, is not going to succeed. Now, I'm not saying Sam Darnold is Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying that. And by the way, Clarence, he says, but Mahomes was good in college, though.
Yes, he was.
Sam Darnold was, too. Sam Darnold won a ball game. He won the Rose Bowl as a freshman. If you remember, Sam Darnold people were looking at Sam Darnold as the next Andrew Luck, the next big superstar, generational quarterback. If you remember, suck for Sam. Now, again, I don't think Sam Darnold is the answer for this New York Jet team. If you want to ask me the right questions, I will give you the right answer. But you look at Zach Wilson. Is Zach Wilson, I was talking to Speedy about this, is Zach Wilson that much better than Sam Darnold? Is Justin Fields that much better than Sam Darnold? These are questions that only Joe Douglas and this management of Saleh, Mike LaFleur, these guys are going to have to decide in the next couple of weeks where they're going at the quarterback position. Now, by the way, Carl says Watson to the Bears. I heard. Did you see that on Sunday? Somebody posted that on Sunday that Watson got traded to the Bears for a bunch of garbage. I thought it was
sorry.
hilarious.
Ryan Pace is not that smart.
But anyways, you look at the positions that the Jets need to fill this offseason. The cornerback position is a very important position moving forward. They have some good youngsters. They have a very good youngster that came in last year, really let the league on fire. I really do believe that, especially when he figured things out. He played very, very well. He was a 6th-round draft pick. Some people said if he was healthy and didn't tear his Achilles, he probably would have been a late 1st-round, early 2nd-round pick. But they need a veteran guy to lead in that secondary. And Marcus May is a great leader. No question that he is. And if they want to bring in Neal from Atlanta, that would be a great acquisition, especially because him and Marcus May played together in Florida.
And you could probably get him on a cheap right now, too.
Yeah.
He's been injury prone.
Absolutely. But Richard Sherman, Patrick Peterson, these are guys you should bring in. They're leaders. They're shutdown corners. Maybe not fully shutdown corners anymore, but they're good corners. They are. They're not some of the corners that we've seen the Jets bring in, like Pierre Desir or somebody like that. They need to bring in a guy that can lead that secondary. And Marcus May is a great leader, but you need somebody that has the experience, maybe has been to a Super Bowl, have won a Super Bowl. That would help the Jets out in that secondary. That's something that they lack. Leadership as far as veterans are concerned at that position. And then you look at the pass rushing. Now, I've looked at the pass rushers that are available. Judon, he's a good player. I think he would fit very, very well with the Jets, especially C.J. Mosley being there. And C.J. Mosley is going to be playing a full season this year. He looks healthy. Everything that we've read, he's in the best condition of his career. You look at a pass rusher, there's a couple of guys that really stick out to me. And 2 of them come from the Baltimore Ravens. Speedy?
Yannick Ngakoue and Matt Judon.
That's right. And I think Judon would fit like a glove in a 4-3, even though he's been playing in a 3-4. I guess you could say,
they're mostly a hybrid.
It's a hybrid 4-3.
It's probably 3-4, I would say 2/3 of the time in Judon's tenure with the Ravens, because Dean Pease always did switch it up, and even their new defensive coordinator, Martindale, has switched it up for the most part. They do 4-3 more on passing down, stuff like that. But Judon is versatile. He has the size. He's not like a smaller player that would have trouble shifting to a 3-4 and being a defensive end, or a 4-3 being a defensive end, or a 3-4 losing that edge, because he's got good size. I think he's 6'4", like 275.
Who cares how tall he is? And we talk about Beasley, you could bring on the cheap. Beasley, who comes from Atlanta, played in a 4-3 defense, understands how to play in the 4-3. His most successful career, a season, was in the 4-3 defense.
The problem is that was very long ago.
It doesn't matter.
He hasn't been good in like 3 years.
What are you going to have to pay him in free agency? $1 million to bring him in? It's worth taking a shot on him than overspending for a guy that's not going to do anything or is going to fight injury all season long.
That's fine, but don't overspend on him.
Overspending on him? What are you going to overspend on a guy that's barely played for the last 2 years?
Don't expect him to be a number 1 type pass rusher.
Nobody said that he is. But we've seen guys come into the league. We've seen somebody come back from the Cowboys who hasn't played in the league for 5 years who had, 7 sacks, 8 sacks? You could bring somebody in that can fit the culture of your 4-3 defense. You bring in a couple of these guys, and one of these guys are going to play well. One of them. You're not going to overpay. And you know somebody like Joe Douglas is not going to overpay somebody to come in, and he's going to have to pay $70-80 million to be a pass rusher for this New York Jet team. You saw what he did last year in the offseason. He's not going to give him too long of a contract, and he wants to make sure that he has enough money for the next 2 or 3 years where if they need a piece or they need a piece here and there, they can add those pieces to make this team a lot better.
2 names to pay attention to, too, that you might be able to get, not super cheap because they're young, but still you're not going to have to overpay for them much either. Trey Hendrickson from the Saints is definitely one to pay attention to because he had a very good year
Jimmy
this year.
Jardine said that.
Yep.
Yeah.
He had a very good year this year. And again, he didn't really have the chance to
1
develop.
year. You're talking about very good year for 1 year.
Right.
And now everybody's saying, you know what, bring Trey Hendrickson in.
But here's the thing. He was mainly platooned behind Marcus Davenport and also obviously Cameron Jordan, who's one of the best defensive ends in the league. In the last couple of years with the Saints. So he didn't really have as much opportunity. Now he's growing. He's one of the best run-stopping defensive ends in the league. So he's definitely one to pay attention to.
Do the Jets need a run-stopping defense? They were ranked in the top 3 in run-stopping defense this year.
I'm not denying that, but I'm just saying that
why do they need that?
That is a helpful trait.
They need pass rushers.
Right. No, but he's a pass rusher too. I'm not saying he's just a run stopper. My point is, in a tiebreaker, he's a better run stopper than some of the guys that have been listed. And the other one I would put out there is Carl Lawson from the Bengals, who had a nice year this year. He's been very good when Marvin Lewis was there running that defense. And 4-3 scheme, especially very similar to what Saleh runs with Marvin Lewis too. A lot of zone concepts, similar types of pass rushers too. He's another name to look at too. Very underrated.
It's so interesting when you look at the free agency market, especially for teams like the Jets, who could add to their offensive line. I talked about it yesterday on Weapons Hot. You could look at Lindley and possibly look at somebody of that magnitude, or maybe move McGovern at the guard position and try to bring in some offensive line help that can really solidify their offensive line. Leatherwood, if he falls to the second round, bring him in the second round where you can solidify your tackle position on the other side of a guy like Mekhi Beckham. They could do a lot of things. So Tooney, I think that's what they're going to do.
He doesn't get franchised by Washington.
Well, what they're going to do is they're going to build around the trenches. That's what we've heard Joe Douglas say. Winning championships are built around the trenches. I think that's what the Jets are going to do. And to me, when you look at the league as an open league in free agency, there are some teams that really stick out to me that have really bad deficiencies. One of them, Seattle Seahawks. They need a defense. They need a pass rusher. And you talk about Jadeveon Clowney. They lost Jadeveon Clowney last year to free agency. It was a big mistake because you saw the difference of their defense. You need a pass rusher. You need something that could get to the quarterback and put pressure on the quarterback. They didn't have one guy that could get to the quarterback. I think they averaged 1.5 sacks a game, which is the worst in the league last year.
Right.
Defensively.
Yeah, they were really, really bad, like historically bad the first half of the season. Carlos Dunlap helped it out a little bit in the second half because he actually played well when he got there. But Carlos Dunlap is not somebody that you could trust.
He's an old man.
Yeah, he's not somebody you could trust at this point to be a primary type pass rusher. You need one of those younger guys to go with it, like Lawson, like Hendrickson. Ngakwe obviously is the biggest name, the best all-around player of that group. And they're going to need that too. Pass rushing is very exclusive. And again, there's a lot more 4-3 defenses. So there's going to be a lot of competition for that.
And the deficiencies of Buffalo. Everybody keeps saying, look at the great season Buffalo had. Did you see what they did against Kansas City? There's a lot of deficiencies on that team. There is. Their offensive line played well all season long until the playoffs came around. They didn't play well. Their defense, which were exciting to watch in certain aspects of the game throughout the season, at the end of the season, you saw them get tired. And in the playoffs, they weren't as dominant as what we've seen them in the regular season, especially in the beginning of the season. So they have deficiencies. Their corner position, their secondary is strong. Their front seven, there's a lot of weaknesses there. And I think they need some linebacker help.
Yeah, they have to re-sign Milano. Otherwise, that unit all of a sudden looks weaker. It's just Tremaine Edmonds at that point and really a bunch of backups. And yeah, the edge rushers is definitely a big issue for them. Interior, I think they're fine. They got Ed Oliver. Harrison Phillips is nice, but they definitely need some help on the edge. Mario Addison did not work, and they lost too many other guys, Shaq Lawson and Lorenzo Alexander from previous Bills defenses that were top-notch.
How about the Saints? We saw with the Saints, the quarterback position is something they're embedded to. And I really think, I don't want to hear Drew Brees is coming back. And if he does come back, you still need to find a quarterback. Is it Sam Darnold? Are they looking to make a move for DeShaun Watson? Who knows what the Saints are going to do? But the Saints had deficiencies in the playoffs too. What we saw throughout the season, their secondary did not play well in the second half of the season. Now, Lattimore, to me, is the only thing that sticks out like a sore thumb in that secondary for them. All in all, that secondary is really not good. They don't have a lot of depth. Their front seven is very, very good throughout the season. They got to the quarterback in the playoffs. They couldn't get to the quarterback. So, and their offensive line looks like they get hurt every single year. They can never stay healthy. And you saw the difference in the playoffs. They could not predict. A matter of fact, at the end of the season, 7, 8 games in the season, you saw Drew Brees get hit a lot more than he usually gets hit. That offensive line is getting old. That is a huge problem. And there are teams like Cincinnati, who everybody keeps talking about Joe Burrows, and he looked really, really good. That offensive line, they've added Williams a couple of years ago. They brought him in as their first-round draft pick. They brought in another offensive lineman in this past year's draft. That offensive line needs to be rebuilt. Joe Burrows can't do it himself. They need offensive players. They need wide receivers. Boyd is not going to be the only guy. A.J. Green's no longer going to be there. They need to rebuild that offense and that defense where they lost Carlos Dunlap and some of their old defensive players. Remember, that was one of the best defenses in the league a couple of years ago. And then there's the Pittsburgh Steelers. They don't know where they're going with the quarterback position. They bring in Dwayne Haskins. They don't know what they're going to do with some of their wide receivers. Juju might be out of there. He might go to the Jets. He might go somewhere else. He might go to the Saints, be on the other side of Michael Thomas. Who knows? I mean, I'm hearing stories right now with Juju going to 6, 7 different places. I've also heard the Miami Dolphins. So what are they going to do? Yes, they have some good weapons, Johnson and Claypool. They've got a lot of talent over there. But here's the thing. What's going on with their running game? Their offensive line, which has been an elite offensive line for the last 7, 8 years, they just lost their center. He retires, okay? So where are they going with that offensive line? What are they going to do on the defensive side of the ball in their secondary? The only person they have in their secondary that's any good is Fitzpatrick. So a lot of these teams are looking for pieces to rebuild. The New York Football Giants. You look at the Giants. They don't know if Daniel Jones is the future of this team. They don't know where they're going at the quarterback position. Dave Gettleman this offseason is going to look very, very deeply on deciding what they're going to do with Leonard Williams. Is Leonard Williams going to be here for the long haul? He should have re-signed him to a long-term deal when he decided to keep him. He didn't. And look at the season he had with Ramsey. Now Leonard Williams is 13 or 12 and a half sacks or whatever he had. He had a great season. He was one of the best pass rushers in the league. And now you're going to have to overpay for him. So you need pass rushing help over there with the New York Giants. They don't have an edge rusher. They haven't had an edge rusher since JPP, since they traded the guy.
Yeah, they also need inside linebacker help too, which is why if Milano is released by the Bills, he's definitely someone I would pay attention to for the Giants. Also, Zach Cunningham from the Houston Texans, who I wanted them to draft in that draft, funny enough. He'll be on his way out of Houston. I don't think anyone wants to play there. And then definitely receivers is badly a need for the Giants.
I think when you look at the league and how it's going to be open, especially in the draft, you look at the draft right now, you don't know who's going to be good past the first round. You know why? Because a lot of these guys didn't have a season. A lot of these divisions didn't have a season. Even the Big Ten or somebody like that. What did they play? 6 games?
Yep.
That's all they played. You don't know who's going to be good. And a lot of these guys are going into the draft. And that's why this draft is going to be so interesting. That's why the scouting you want to talk about scouting and really digging deep. Guys like Joe Douglas, who's a scouting sensation. Everybody says how smart of a scouter he is. He's going to go to every single scouting pro day. That's what he's going to do. And he's going to watch these guys because you don't know what to expect. There's going to be a lot of traveling and you're going to have to hire more scouts. A lot of teams are going to have to hire more scouts to go to these pro days because you don't know what to expect with some of these players.
Yeah, again, it's also going to be a year where it's going to be harder for not necessarily big prospects, but smaller schools that maybe had a lot of games canceled or rearranged. The lesser known, not the quarterbacks like Wilson necessarily, but the lesser known prospects from those schools, it's going to be very hard for them to be able to do it with not a lot of exposure at their games, because a lot of the smaller conferences even just shut their seasons down completely, like the MAC did for a while until they started, I think, with the Big Ten. And the Ivy League had no season. They might have a spring season, but leagues like that, they're not going to get that kind of exposure where those smaller school players, those sleeper players, the gems that we don't know about, they're going to be hard. They're going
to be hard to find.
Yeah.
And I think guys like Joe Douglas are guys that you have to look at. And by the way, Carl says, what do you think about the Wentz trade? Here's the thing. Indianapolis was missing one piece. And I've been saying this. They need a pure number one wide receiver. That's what they need. I think they have number twos if they bring T.Y. Hilton back and some of the young players that they have right now on their bench. Pittman looks like he's going to be a good player. They need a guy that is a pure number one. If they bring in Juju, I still think Juju could be a number one. Some people say he's a number two, but in that offense, he could be a number one. And you bring in Juju with Carson Wentz, that's all you need. Their defense is stacked. I think they have just as good a defense as any team in football. Their offensive line is the best in football. You bring in Carson Wentz, a guy that I think has succeeded in the Frank Reich type of offense. This guy is going to be an MVP candidate this year. I absolutely believe it. I think he's going to fit very, very well like a glove in Indianapolis. Now, does that mean they're going to win a Super Bowl? I don't think so. I think that the AFC is getting better. Kansas City is going to be a lot better this year. You know they're going to try to solidify some pieces to that offensive line, especially with the offensive line and the injuries that they had this past year. Maybe adding some depth to the offensive line, which they didn't have going into the playoffs. That's something that Kansas City has to look at. A lot of the good teams are going to have to look at depth. Arizona's a team that's up and coming. They might need one or two pieces, but they need depth. A lot of the good teams need depth. Oakland, a team that I think
they need a lot of defense.
They do, but I think Oakland's a good team. I think they're a good offensive team. If they keep Derek Carr, I think they're a dangerous team. I really do. John Gruden has proved that he can still coach in this league. It doesn't matter how long he was away from the game. The guy knows the game, and he's a great offensive mind. And I think that when you look at the big picture of where this team is, Oakland, if they add themselves maybe one or two pass rushers, you're not going to get them in the draft. You're going to have to get them in free agency. And you know Oakland likes to open up their pockets. They can do it.
Yeah.
So, and then there's the Miami Dolphins, where everybody keeps talking about, are they going to keep Tua? Are they going to go after DeShaun Watson? There's only two teams that are going to be able to get DeShaun Watson. I said this yesterday, and I will say it again. It's either the Jets or the Miami Dolphins, because what we have heard, the Texans want the second best quarterback in this class. Who is drafting 2? The Jets. Who is drafting 3? The Miami Dolphins. If it's Carolina's going to have to move up. They're going to have to either trade with the Jets or trade with Miami to get to a third pick. So they're in position to get a Justin Fields or a Zach Wilson. If they don't do that, how the hell are they going to get Deshaun Watson? And why would they do that? Because they're going to have to give up a significant amount, and they need defense. So I don't think Carolina's going to get him. I don't think San Francisco is going to get him. There's only 2 teams that could get him. And are the Jets willing to give up 3 or 4 first-round draft picks? The answer is no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. As good as Deshaun Watson is, he's got a no-trade clause. You make a deal with Deshaun Watson and you say, listen, Deshaun, we're going to bring you here. We need to solidify our team through the draft. We need to keep as much as we possibly can so we can move forward with you as our quarterback. And Deshaun has the obligation and control to decide if he wants to waive his no-trade clause or not. But there are a lot of teams right now that need pieces. We were just talking about it. Super Bowl contenders. San Francisco, believe it or not, if they find themselves a quarterback in this offseason, San Francisco is going to be a dangerous team. They're going to be a dangerous team.
Really good.
They did lose Robert Saleh. I think that will hurt them defensively. It will. But they still have Nick Bosa coming back. They still have a significant amount of players that they've missed all season long to injury that is coming back, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But by the way, was still the 5th all-around defense in the league, thanks to Robert Saleh and with backup players. So there are teams that stick out, and there are teams that really you kind of worry. Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers are going to lose a lot of pieces to free agents. free agency. Gronkowski is a free agent. I don't know if he's coming back.
Yeah, he'll either retire or come back.
Yeah, I don't think he is.
Okay.
Antonio Brown, he is not coming back. They're not bringing him back. Shaq Barrett. Now they can franchise him. They're going to have to pay him a lot of money.
I think they'll pay him. The one that I think, because they have a lot of other receivers, maybe is Godwin. I could actually see them trying to either franchise or get rid of him. I think Barrett's a little more important.
Leonard Fournette is going to be gone. I mean, there's a lot of pieces that are not going to be there next year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Are they going to reset? Who knows? I know they're going to try to win another Super Bowl with Tom Brady again, but the chances of that happen are slim. The last team to ever do that was the Patriots, and that was in the beginning of Tom Brady's career. So I don't think that's going to happen. Now, there are teams that look like they're going to have a very good season next year. You look at the Chargers. They're an up-and-coming team, and I'll tell you why. They got a young quarterback like Justin Herbert. You can build your offense around Justin Herbert. The question is, are they going to get Joey Bosa, or are they going to get these guys, Melvin Ingram, to actually, are they going to give Melvin Ingram his contract? Because he's been practically asking over and over again. Melvin Ingram is a free agent this year, isn't he?
No, they signed him last year for, I think, a shorter deal, like a 3-year deal.
Did they?
But he got hurt a lot last year. So
can't they opt out of that contract?
I think after 2 years. I don't think it's this year.
Oh, so there's so many teams. Now, what team stick out to you that need to make maybe one or two moves that they could be a Super Bowl contender?
San Francisco's definitely one. I think they need a receiver, they need a corner, and then maybe if they make the splash for Watson, that's one. And then I think Tennessee's another one that I know their defense struggled last year, but I think they're still very talented. They just need some kind of pass rush help and maybe one more secondary player, and they could be good because their offense is very talented.
It's going to be very, very interesting for the NFL offseason. And remember, free agency opens up in what? A month and a half? A month? I mean, you're going to see a lot of players off the boards very, very quickly. And I think it's going to be an exciting offseason because of the draft, not knowing where to go in the draft, and free agency. Who and what team is going to make the moves that's going to make that team, their team, that much better moving forward in a new season in 2021. When we come back, we will be talking to former NFL and XFL running back Mack Brown here on Down to the Wire.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Be fearless at MMA Long Island and Setuha Karate. Located at 28 Colt Court in Ronkonkoma, MMA Long Island is the martial arts school for you if you want to learn combat-proven techniques, build confidence, discipline, and self-esteem while learning real martial arts to fight back against bullies, predators, and peer pressure. MMA Long Island offers group and private lessons for all ages and levels in traditional Goju-Ryu Karate, MMA, and self-defense. MMA Long Island is one of Long Island's most affordable martial arts schools. There are no promotion, belt, or membership fees, and family discounts are available. All classes are taught by 7th degree black belt Sensei John Benedict with over 30 years teaching experience. So whether you want to get in the ring or protect yourself and your family, MMA Long Island can help you reach your goals. Visit MMALongIsland.com. That's MMALongIsland.com, or call or text 516-381-9660. That's 516-381-9660.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
Well, we were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're listening to Down to the Wire on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
As you guys know, this is Down to the Wire. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy Petey. Remember, you can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Download our app, iOS, WWSRN, Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And if you want to beat Speedy on the head a couple of times, I got a baseball bat in the corner. You can take your tabs and shots at him. He's sitting right over here next to me. But I will say this. Jillian actually reached out to me over the weekend, said we have a great show lined up for Monday. And I did some of my research with some of the guys that we were going to have on the show. And this guy, very, very interesting. Very interesting career from the NFL to the XFL. We are now talking to former NFL and XFL running back and founder of Memoriibrand Mack Brown. What's going on, Mac?
Man, how you doing, man? Appreciate you guys for having me on the show today. Thank you.
Absolutely. You know, it's so interesting. Before we get into everything that's going on with you now with the off season, how are you and your family doing with this pandemic? Were you hiding in your house or hiding under your table when you heard that COVID was completely killing people or just destroying the world? What were you doing when everybody told you to stay in your house and stay safe?
You know what? The first month it happened, we was kind of scared at first, so we stayed in the house for like the first couple of weeks. After that, I was like, you know what? To make money, I got to get out because, you know, transitioning, but having your own, you know, real estate company, you got to go see houses. You got to meet people. So I couldn't be in the house. I just had to make sure I take my elderberry, had to make sure I take a lot of vitamin C and just, you know, stay prayed up so God can protect me from COVID.
You know what's so funny? And I don't think it's funny. People, when I say funny, I don't think it's funny. I'm not laughing. But when this whole started, everybody was looking for an N95. Everybody and their mother. You can't leave your house without an N95. So people would go to 7-Eleven. They would go to Wawa's. They would go anywhere they can find an N95. They were sold out all over the place. Now you can go to the nearest drugstore and you can get an N95 sitting on the counter. So it's crazy how everything has transitioned and changed over the last past year. So how is everything going with the real estate now with the transition of everything with COVID-19? Things are starting to open. Businesses are starting to open. Is real estate starting to boom now on your side?
You know what? Real estate been booming since last year. Right now, we about to put a property on the market next week. Next Wednesday, we listed our first property. We did a flip. You know, put some good money into the property, but we should make, you know, a significant return from it. And actually, we're gonna put another house on the market hopefully in early April. So real estate for us, you know, we just picking our poison right now. You know, trying to learn the market because if you see anybody that's great in front of you, the main thing you want to do is copy and paste what they're doing. So I'm just checking like a lot of, you know, people that inspire me in real estate and just doing the same thing they're doing.
We are talking to former NFL and XFL running back and founder of Memoriibrand Mack Brown.
So go through about some of the stuff that you do with Memory. I looked at the website after I had you set up for the show, and it was actually very interesting. You had a lot of memorabilia, a lot of clothing, a lot of different events with youth football, helping kids out, and like you were saying, real estate is a big investment for you. So just go through some of those experiences, some of the concepts you dive into, and maybe things you're thinking about doing. What do you want to grow? How do you want to grow it more?
So Memory, you know, we actually just changed it from Memory Realty to Memory Corporation because we got a lot of things we want to do. Right now, actually, I'm in school to get my MBA in project management. So
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, to get my MBA in project management and minor in finance because in real estate, when you do flips and renovation, you got to pay a contract a certain amount of money. So we decided, like, you know what, instead of paying the contract a lot of money, how about I just get my license so we can keep more money in the house? And also doing finances, when you do finance, you be a financial advisor, you know how to save more money because the important thing of making money is how you keep money. But Memory Corporation, right now we about to purchase a truck, so we're gonna have a truck company under Memory Corporation. We have a real estate company, so we're doing Airbnbs, rentals, flips. What else we have right now? We actually produce a card game called Can You Card Game. Right now. We pushed it a little bit, so I can send you guys a website later.
Absolutely.
We have that right now. I have my own training business. I train young boys, like young athletes, like running backs, receivers, quarterbacks. What else we have? What else we doing?
You need to put some muscle on this guy. I mean, he's too busy wearing his tidy whities and his.
Oh, don't exist.
I'm telling you,
listen
man,
to him.
he wears SpongeBob tidy whities. Yeah, SpongeBob. He's a liar.
Mac, do not listen to him.
and also we have our fashion brand, so we love fashion. So I got a couple guys I met in DC when I was with the Redskins. He's a phenomenal person in fashion. So we got a lot of things coming out with fashion. We should have a fashion show coming up, hopefully the end of March.
Really? I'm building a clothing line too. I'm actually I'm building a clothing line. I'm building logos right now. It's called Flaunt Inc. And Flaunt Inc. Yep. And I'll let you. We'll stay in touch. We definitely have to stay in touch with it. So, but anyways, why don't we get into your career, your football career? What was it like playing in Washington? Now, obviously, everybody knows about the owner. Over the years, this was a pretty good football team. You had Reed there. You had at one time you had RG3. You had Cousins over there. You had Portis. What was it like playing in Washington? And what was when you were drafted, or when you came to the NFL, when you played your first game in the NFL? What was it like stepping on the field?
It was a dream come true, because your whole life you dream of getting to the big stage. And sometimes, so I'll talk about my college career real quick. In college, sometimes your dreams feel like it's like a shade on your glasses. Say like you're wearing glasses, right? And the shades are clear. In college, it seems like the shades got real dark. It's like I can't get to my dream because I'm not playing as much. But when I got to the NFL, I was like, I'm finally here. So everything that happened in college, from all the stress, from all the blood, sweat, and tears, get on that field, for me, first time and didn't play that much my senior year, was a dream come true. So I wanted to take advantage of it. So I would make sure I was getting there early, leaving late. So like you look at any games I played in NFL at Washington, I always produce.
Were there any particular like funny moments, or even like guys who were teammates of yours that really stood out to you, and like maybe some of the great stories when you were in Washington with those guys, especially one of the years they did make the playoffs that year, your first year in 2015. What were some of the most memorable moments of that year? Maybe some of the funniest stories.
You know what, man? The funniest guys I played with on the Redskins was the funniest guys I played with at Florida. Like my close friend Quinn Dunbar and Jordan Reed. Those guys were funny. And I played with Matt Jones too in college, but Quinn Dunbar and Jordan Reed will have you laughing all day. So like I remember one game, Jordan Reed, I forgot who he was playing, but Jordan Reed ran a route and the guy kind of like he made him like pop up, and the guy kind of fell down before he caught the ball. And the way Jordan Reed explained it to the sideline, it was just funny. He's like, man, why you do me like that? This here, like veteran DBs telling another guy you played with in college, that's all pro tight end, why you do me like that is just surreal, because you like, it's the best of the best. I don't expect guys to say that,
As you guys know, we are talking to former NFL and XFL running back and founder of Memoriibrand Mack Brown. Now, Mac, you play football for so many years, and this is your dream, and you realize that the game is only a certain amount of time every single year. You play 6 months, 7 months in a year, and then you have to, there's an off season. It's training. What is your training like when the season is over? What do you do to stay in shape?
For me, you know what? Let me go back to 2018. For me, it depends on the degree of where they want to put you at. So for me, I always was a guy on a bubble. You get what I'm saying? So being a guy on a bubble, you want to train hard as you can. So once the season ends, I maybe take off 2 days, just like the weekend, Saturday, Sunday. On Monday morning, I'm going to see my doctors. I want to see my body alignment. So I'm going to my chiropractor. I'm going to my massage therapist to make sure my muscles are hydrated. Now I'm going to my speed training to make sure my speed is exactly where it's at before we went to training camp. Because what guys don't understand is the speed you build up for that season, you only maintain it. But sometimes in the end of the season, if you get any injury, you will lose some speed. People don't know that. That's why you see some guys, they be more fresher in the playoffs because they might got hurt early in the season. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But you play a long 16-week season, including preseason, you gone. So really, you want to make sure whatever you did from that season before, you want to do something different. Either you want to run harder, either you want to lift more like durable. Like durable lifts is kind of like single leg or single arm stuff, like more balance. You get what I'm saying? So whatever you want to prove your game in, you got to direct that to your workouts. So for me, my workout schedule, I was waking up at like 4 a.m. I'm lifting weights. So I was doing two, 3 workouts in the morning before it even hit 12 o'clock, because my favorite player is Kobe Bryant. He always said is, by the time a guy hit his first workout at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, I already did 3. So there's no way he can catch me because I did 3 already. So if you do 3 times 5 is 15. The guy only got 5 workouts in for the whole week, and I got 15 in. And 12 to 6 p.m., I'm watching the movie. So,
So you're mentioning the injuries, and the running back position is definitely a common one with injuries. You brought up, Errol brought up Clinton Portis earlier, who was probably a Hall of Fame talent if he doesn't have all the injuries he had in his career with Washington. And there's a lot of them now, a lot of running backs that are been in that boat because it's an injury-prone position. They say they don't have the shelf life, and as a result, there's not as many feature backs they used to. Coaches are also platooning them a lot more to protect them, and also as a strategy type thing. So, do you think the feature back concept, because of that, is something that's going to continue to be kind of a dying art, or do you think it can come back where these feature guys like a Derrick Henry and more of those type running backs?
you know what? I don't really see. It depends on the talent. Like you look at Chris McCaffrey, you look at Derrick Henry. It's maybe two. I really feel like the way the game is, like even if you say like a team like a feature receivers, it's not that many feature receivers no more because teams got the schemes going. You got outside on this side, outside on this side. And you got a slot guy. He's not getting double teamed because this guy getting double teamed. He's open. So I feel like the way the game changed with spread offense, just the running back got to be durable. You just can't be a running back. You got to know how to run routes. You got to know how to pick up blitz. You got to know how to motion out to not just motion out the slot. You got to know how to motion out to the outside receiver. So the running backs learn how to be receivers and also how to be a tight end. So I feel like the way football is transitioning is every person that's in the NFL on offense got to play. They got to be multi-talented. You can't just be one thing. You get what I'm saying? Like, you look at the game now, you really don't have that many blocking tight ends because a lot of teams, what they do is they bring an extra tackle in. They don't use the extra tight end like they used to. So it's just the way the game is. You got to be, you got to be multi-talented. You got to know how to, transition to different places. That's how I feel. But I don't really see that many feature backs as much because a lot of teams run two backs.
Mac, when you look at the lifespan of the running back, and I've been saying this, and we've interviewed a lot of young running backs and even ex-running backs in the NFL, I brought up the lifespan of a running back is usually between 4 and 6 years. And looking at the lifespan, I think the NFL in free agency, especially at position to position, I think they should change the free agency market, especially contracts for running backs more than any, because I don't think the running backs get enough money. They don't get paid enough money. They have the worst. They get the worst beatings at the line of scrimmage. They get beaten up. They get the most injuries. They're putting their life in the offensive line's hands. So do you think that the NFL should figure out a way where the running backs would be able to get paid more money so they have a longer lifespan or make at least the money that they deserve in the time that they're playing in the NFL?
I agree because you look at it, man. You look at running back right now. We just take some time and just think about being in the backfield, right? If the quarterback's on the center, you behind the quarterback. When the quarterback opens up to any direction, the linebacker's shooting them gaps. What people don't understand is everybody on the field sees the running back gets the ball. So if the running back gets the ball now, you see I'm in front of you. You get what I'm saying? I'm in front of you. So I can either hit you low, hit you high. I can grab you. Your chin strap. I can do whatever I want to do to you. Horse collar. And if a horse collar gets you, you out for the season. That's ACL. So I do agree with the lifespan being 4 to 6 years that guys should get paid in those years. So basically, instead of a guy getting paid 1.5, guys should get paid $4 million because at the end of the day, if a guy career's over 4 years, what he turn back on? A lot of guys don't have a backup plan. Their main plan is to play football because where they grew up at, that's all they had. To stay out of trouble is to play football. So I feel like a lot of guys should have enough money saved up. So you should get them more money so they can have another career once their career ends. Because an injury is instant. For me, like my injury, I really feel like I'll still be on the team. My injury happened in 2018 because I finally got my big shot. I was like, you know what? When the Minnesota Vikings upper management told me, they said, Mac, we're not going to do y'all Washington did. You're not a bubble guy. You a guy we putting in second string right now. It's going to be you and Latavius Murray battling out the second string position until Cook get healthy. So maybe first 2 games you should be playing. So that all season, when I tell you, instead of working out 3 times a day, I was going 4 times a day. I was just going crazy. But I should have just slowed down a little bit. You get what I'm saying? And I ended up getting injured. In before OTA started. So I got injured in 3rd week of workouts. I was on the turf running and I popped my leg. I was out the whole season. You get what I'm saying? So I didn't get injured in the game because since I was a young boy playing running back, I watched gymnastics, I watched cheerleading, I watched different sports, I watched tennis, and I was like, you know what? How do other sports be moving? So when I get tackled sometimes again, I'm playing around like, you know what, I'm gonna let this guy tackle me real quick. So what I was doing, I was practicing how to fall down, embrace my fall. If somebody hit my knee, I was practicing how to embrace my knee. So if you watch me in football, I never got hurt because of a tackle before. You get what I'm saying? I got hurt because because of a running incident that happened way before camp started. So I feel like a lot of guys, when you play in your position, find out a cheat code that other guys don't know. Do something different. Go to cheerleading camp for a couple of weeks. You get what I'm saying? Do gymnastics. You know, I feel like always being that bubble guy and not playing as much as I want to be at Florida. When I got to the NFL, I said, you know what? I got to let people respect me. People got to really show. I got to show people how I really run. That's why every year I competed. Other than 2018 year, I always finished top 3 in the preseason because I really wanted that shot to run in the game. And the games I did run in, I produced. Just being that bubble guy, they never really give you the chance you really want. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. So you actually in Washington and played for Jay Gruden, and then in Oakland in 2019 you were on the preseason roster with John Gruden. Obviously, them being brothers, very interesting in the NFL. We actually last year had a former NFL corner, Von Hutchins, on the show, and he was talking about Eli and Peyton Manning because he played he played with Peyton Manning in the NFL and in college with Eli at Ole Miss, and how they're both funny but very different. In different ways. So what was their personalities like, and what are some of the biggest differences in both of their personalities and also their coaching styles?
You know what? Both coaches are phenomenal. I love both coaches. Jay Gruden is more of they both extrovert coaches. They both speak up, you know, instead of like keep everything within. But Jay Gruden, he's more silly. So he'll tell you something direct and you'll know if he's serious or not, or is he joking with it. You get what I'm saying? But he's serious, but he smiles more. With John Gruden, he's direct also, but he's not as more smile type. He do a smirk, but you like, okay, he's serious. I know he's not joking right now. He's serious. And their coaching style is with Jay Gruden. I feel Jay Gruden's more of a passing type guy. You get what I'm saying? Jay Gruden more embraced more of the spread. Like he wanted to throw the ball deep. He don't really. I don't see him really want to run the ball 30 times a game. With John Gruden want to get downhill with big old linemen. You know, zone read and pound the ball, then throw the ball. Because you look at the kid, Josh Jacobs, you know, he been having 1,000 yards last couple seasons. So that's the two differences. They both extrovert. One, Jay's more silly than John, but Jay's more of a passing guy, and John's more, he want to run then pass. Jay want to pass then run. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. That's funny. That's funny because I actually thought John would have been more of the silly personality type. So that's interesting.
You know what? They both silly, but Jay is silly. Jay will walk up on you and smack you back in the neck and keep walking. Act like he didn't do it. both great coaches. Like I love both coaches.
We are talking to former NFL and XFL running back and founder of Memoriibrand Mack Brown. Now, what was it like going to the XFL? Obviously, Vince McMahon decided to bring it back. It went bankrupt, and then it went bankrupt again because of COVID-19. Now you're hearing The Rock and his ex-wife bought into the XFL, and they want to bring the XFL back. What was it like playing with the new rules? I loved the new rules that they had brought to the XFL. What was it like going from the NFL to the XFL?
Man, it was cool. You know, when I got there, mentally, I didn't want to be there at first because, like, I just lost my best friend.
Right, I'm sorry.
The round ball.
Sorry about that.
Then I lost my great aunt. Then I lost my great grandma, and then I lost my grandma. Like all in like a 3-4 month span. So going there, I was like, I wasn't always in it. So like, you know, going there just, you know, being in practice, I still could produce, but I just wasn't always in football. I was like, I needed breaks. That's why I ended up leaving before it went bankrupt. I was like, I gotta go. I gotta just, you know, get back and just, you know, get the work in and get back to love of the game because, you know, being on the Raiders preseason, I really feel like I made the team finish top 4 preseason. So, you know, seeing sometimes you get cut, sometimes like, you know what, let me take a step back. I don't really need it right now. Let me take a step back and get everything back right. Because losing people in your family is unexpectedly, it makes you want to take a deep breath and like, okay, let's get back to the process. Let's get back process. Let's get back to the level of the game first. But the rules in XFL, it was great. One of the rules they did that I like was the kickoff rule. Because you look at it on kickoff return, man, and kickoff, concussions happen instantly. But only bad thing about that is you take jobs away because a lot of guys that's creative on kickoff return or kickoff, they make their money by making those teams. So when you kick the ball deep and you pausing, my boy can't get his money. My guy got to get his money for his kids. You get what I'm saying? So it is safer, but you got to keep the old rules in because my boy, whoever his name is going to be, Gerardo Simpson. Gerardo Simpson need to get his kickoff return and score so you can get a new contract. You get what I'm saying? So the rules are cool, though. You know, XFL, it was different. Definitely different.
So are you when the league does return, are you planning on trying to make a team again? And I know you were with Tampa Bay, the Vipers, in 2020. You played, I think, the first 5 games before they got shut down or something like that.
Oh no, I was out of there 2. I was gone.
Only 2. Okay, yeah. So yeah, the season shut down very quickly. So
they played 5 games, but I left in 2 games.
Okay, all right.
I lost my grandma. I was like, That took some regret.
Okay. Yeah. Again, very sorry to hear that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the question I had is, do you plan on going back into it, even with all the other stuff you're doing right now, with all the motivation speaking, the real estate stuff? Do you plan on trying out for the XFL again? And also, do you think the league is going to expand even more?
You know what? Not really. I feel like inside me, like in my heart, I've just been praying, giving it to God, like, God, what you really want me to do? Because, I feel like when you in football, you transition to a new career, you got to really be 2 feet in. Whatever you do in life, you 2 feet in. So I jumped 2 feet in by leading my company. I like, I want my company to be, backdraw. I want my company to really elevate. I want people in my company to get paid money so they can leave their other jobs. But so doing that, I feel like God speak to me. I lost my uncle this time last year also. And when I lost him, the last thing he told me was, "You'll play again." So that's been in my mind nonstop the last couple of months. And recently, one of my coaches, that was my favorite coach in college, Urban Meyer, got his job at Jacksonville. So I told myself, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get one more time, because my last NFL game film, I had 80 yards and like 13 carries against Seattle. So I like, you know what? And I was just getting warmed up because remember I just came off an injury that really supposed to be a year and a half, and I came back in a year and 2 months. So right now, I've just been training. I said, you know what? If it's any type of pro days or combines that my agent can find me to do, and if I can run the time I know I can run, I'm gonna get one more shot. And my main thing, I want to get to the big stage and show people I still can play. So if I can clock this time like I want to clock, I feel like I'll be back on the market, because there's a couple teams still call my agent. So I couldn't play last year. Because I didn't want to risk now. I want to make sure the company's great, but I keep hearing a voice in my head like, let's get one more shot. And if it don't happen, I'm thankful, because I'm not sitting back waiting for a team to call. Like I said, I'm getting my NBA right now. My company's doing great. Got my Memoriibrand. Memoriibrand is whoever you lost or whatever memory you have in your past that make you the person you are today. That's memory. So our memory is like a driven confidentiality brand. You get what I'm saying? So like, for instance, like, that's why I got a turtle on my brand. Is the race ain't one who's the fastest. The race is one who's the most decisive, most dedicated. Like turtles are, you see the turtle hair race, turtle always win. Because he's not that he's fast, he's just decisive. He's dedicated. You get what I'm saying? So that's why I named the brand Memory.
Before we let you go, okay, we talk a lot about concussions. The movie that came out with Will Smith, and it has affected the NFL. It's affected every single sport, believe it or not. What were your thoughts when some of these athletes, some of these guys got CTE, some of them passed away? Do you think the NFL, and honestly, do you think the NFL should be covering insurance policies after these players retire? Do you think they should be putting more into the players that put their lives on the line every single day, every single Sunday?
You know what? I do agree. I just, for any, like, I don't know that much about the past players, but I know for future players that's driven to go to NFL is make sure you have a backup plan. Make sure you're just not all the way in. Because, I mean, you gotta be all the way in to play football, but like you say, if you have concussions and anything like that, you got to make sure you have a career outside of football, because a lot of CTEs going on. I feel like, CTE is real because concussions is real. But I feel like the depression more hit because you're not in football no more. You don't have your camaraderie with your teammates. And now everything's just getting like this. You get what I'm saying? Money's losing, and now people act abnormal. You feel me? So I just feel like if college football step up even more before guys get to NFL, that's the major jump. They want the NFL to do everything, but I feel like college football got to do even more, because some guys get CTE in college. If you play in the SEC, shoot, you get concussion, you never know. You might be still playing. So I feel like if NCAA take care more of the athletes, like, you know what, make sure my guy really is in class, learn a career or a trade. So if he don't make the football, or after he even get hurt in football, he have a backup plan. You get what I'm saying? Or mental health programs, because right now, I feel like it's so many things on the NFL, and I feel like you got to be one-on-one. College and NFL got to come together. Like, of course, CT is real, but a lot of guys don't know the transition. That's where a lot of the pressure come back. Guys ain't making the same money. Like, even real estate, you might make $60,000 on a flip, but shoot, you make $6,000 1 week playing against the Chiefs. You feel me? So like, the guys got to know just another backup plan. I think that will help out. But also, insurance plans, like the question you asked, I just feel like it's just hard. I think guys should be protected more, because a lot of guys can't go to the doctor when they get out of football. So, I don't know. I really can't give you an answer for that. I just know for me, I want to protect myself. So that's why I'm back in school. Cause like, anything happens, I want to make sure my future kids, and future wife could be set. You know, that's the main thing.
Oh, you don't have any kids? You don't have a wife? Come on, man.
Have a girlfriend.
All right. How long you been with a
So
girl?
hopefully we get married soon.
Good. Congratulations, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations,
no kids yet.
man.
I'm surprised I don't have no kids yet. No kids.
Well, you try to last a little bit longer because they get a little expensive, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, I'm thankful. Yeah, I mean, of course you want to have kids. I love kids, but it's gonna come at the right time.
Absolutely,
he'll teach them the best values in real estate.
Definitely tell them to be all you can be. No limits on your life. If God made a career happen in the world, you can do any career you want. Whatever career happens, even if a new career pops up tomorrow, you can do that career too. Just learn to read it and be the best you can be at it.
I agree with you. Mac, why don't you tell the fans how they can find you on social media?
Man, y'all can find me on social media at Mack Prime B, MackPrimeb. Also, you can go on our website at Memoriibrand.co. That's the brand page. And also, you can follow everything we're doing from every business venture is on Memoriibrand.corp. No, my bad, Memoriibrand.org. Go in there and you see everything else.
We'll promote it on our website and throughout our social media for you.
Man, I appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys on this show, man. This show is amazing.
Thank you.
Y'all can go as far as y'all dream of going, man. Just keep going, and you guys are amazing.
Oh, well, thank you. And by the way, I'm going to reach out to you. I actually have a clothing line. Maybe we can work together.
Oh, yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. We got something we about to release hopefully in the next 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And, I can show you that. You'll love it. It's real nice.
Absolutely. We'll flip-flop. But I will stay in touch with you, Mac. We'd love to get you on, especially when the draft comes around, because your thoughts with the draft and some of these running backs. There's a couple of really, really good running backs coming out of this year's draft, and maybe we'll have your insight. Yep.
Some great backs coming out this year.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mac, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Absolutely. We were just talking to former NFL, XFL running back and founder of Memoriibrand, Mack Brown. Nice guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice guy. Gave us some good insight with a lot of his thoughts of what's going on right now in his career, his XFL career, and even his career with the Washington football team, talking about Reed. And I didn't even know he played for Urban Meyer. And
I thought by the time he would have been at Florida, he would have been Urban Meyer would have been at Ohio State, but I guess he got the last year or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
And he said that he would love to play in the NFL again, and that Urban Meyer is in Jacksonville, and Urban was his favorite coach. So maybe Urban will give him a chance to be a walk-on on the field to see if he can play again, or maybe play in the NFL again. So it's very interesting how these guys, they're great one day and they're gone the next. It's crazy with the NFL. It's not like the NBA where you could be a bench player. You don't even have to step on the court, and you could play 12, 13 years in the NBA and nobody would even know who you are, and you're making tons of money. And you have an NFL player like that who gets his butt beaten up every single day from high school to college. He steps on the NFL field, and you're not on the NFL field for that much longer than you expect to be. So
yeah, especially if you're a running back.
Yeah, so it's very, very interesting coming from a running back and his thoughts of the NFL game and the change of the NFL game. So shout out to Mack Brown. Really, really nice guy. And I'd love to get him on again. You send him a text. I definitely want to interact with him because I would love to see his clothing line. Before we get our second guest, we will be talking to, at 7:15, we'll be talking to two-time Super Bowl champion, defensive tackle, college football Hall of Famer, media member, Tony Casillas. So he's going to be joining us in just a few moments. Before we do that, I do want to finish up with some of the conversations that we were just having. I off the NFL, I do want to get into a little bit of baseball. And everybody keeps talking about this Trevor Bauer versus Noah Syndergaard, and then all of a sudden, a day ago, Marcus Stroman got involved with it, and now Trevor Bauer is having all-out wars with these Met pitchers. What else is new? Trevor Bauer's already stepped foot in L.A. He was there for 5 minutes, and he's already having problems with the fans. He's having problems with other players in the league, including a team that was interested in bringing him into that pitching staff. What would have happened if he brought him to that pitching staff? You have Syndergaard, who doesn't like him, Marcus Stroman, who doesn't like him. You don't hear Jacob deGrom. Are you surprised that Trevor Bauer is opening up his mouth so early? I know it's pitchers and catchers this week. I know a lot of people can't wait until spring training starts. I was talking to Josh about it about an hour and a half ago, 2 hours ago. This is an exciting year, an exciting time for sports, because you have March Madness, which is a couple of weeks away.
Yeah.
And you have the pitchers and catchers, which is now. You have the NHL, you have the NBA going on, you have the pro days. I'm hearing that the NFL is going to be putting some of the pro days on the NFL Network, so you're going to have the opportunity to watch some of these pro days. It's very interesting how they're going to be doing this this year. So what stands out to you knowing that baseball is right here, man?
Well, going back to the Bauer thing, it's definitely not surprising because he has been very outspoken. He has rivalries with certain players. And I think if you did go to the Mets, I don't know if Syndergaard and Stroman would be doing that, but that's another story.
Why not? We've seen this before. We've seen this on other teams.
Yeah, no, it's fair. I think the rivalries with certain players are always very interesting. Baseball doesn't really have as much of them because a lot of their superstars aren't.
How could you not like Trevor Bauer starting trouble?
I mean, yeah, it's I think good for the game in a sense where Bauer is that counterculture to what we see of these other stars. And because again, it's not like the NBA where all their players want to cause drama. It's not like the NFL where a lot of their players, they have their rivalries.
All the players in the NBA are butt buddies. I mean, they're all pals. I mean,
sure,
they hang out.
Right. But they still like to cause drama, and that ends up getting all the attention. Whereas baseball is not thought of as that sport that does that. But again, Bauer is going to be like that no matter who it is, no matter what team is affiliated with. Now he's obviously with the Dodgers, where it's a more relaxed California community over there. So I don't think they're going to really care as much. But even to an extent, having that kind of player.
Are you kidding me? They just paid him. He's making $40 million this year. He's making $45 million next year. He's the highest paid pitcher in baseball right now. And you're sitting back and he's opening his mouth. As soon as he gets traded over there to LA, he's taking shots at players, coaches, managers, GMs, and now all of a sudden his own agent is getting involved with it now. You have Marcus Stroman, Noah Syndergaard. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I think it's a good draw for baseball, especially now that baseball is right here. I think the fact that pitchers and catchers are about to start this week and spring training starts in about a week. I mean, to me, it brings out what baseball is all about. And I think with sports and what's going on with now that the NFL is not having a combine and everybody's trying to figure out what are we going to watch. There's so much to watch right now and so much to catch on. It really sticks out like a sore thumb. So I'm not surprised that Trevor Bauer is making the news, but I'm very surprised that you haven't heard anything ever since the Yankees made some of the moves, the little bit of moves that they've made this offseason. And one of the big ones, DJ LeMahieu. You haven't really heard any of the Yankees opening them out there. You know, I did hear, by the way, if you're a Yankee fan, I did hear that Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton are training together right now and that they're not doing the same heavy bench workouts they've been doing over the last couple of years, maybe because of injury with the new trainers that they're using together this offseason. They're going to do it a completely different way. Are you surprised about that, Speedy?
No, because they've been injury prone, especially Judge recently too. Now Stanton was able to stay healthy for the most part in the shortened season, which is good for him. But again, it's a shortened season. Would it have happened in 162 games? I don't know. Judge has definitely been injury prone, so you could see why he would do something like that. And you saw, especially the guy we just mentioned with the Mets, Noah Syndergaard, when he started to work out extra and build up the muscle, that's when he started to have those lat problems. And Judge, the same kind of thing with his shoulder and all the injuries that he's had. I mean, not that he built any more muscle up than what he was, but him being that body type has always been more concerning in terms of getting those types of injuries when you're a baseball player.
Mm-hmm. It's so interesting. And what's going to stick out to you this season? Spring training coming. Obviously, we're going to have a spring training. Being that there's going to be 162 games, it's not going to be a shortened season. Some people believe we're going to see fans in the stadiums, or not early in the season, but as the season progresses. Is there a team that sticks out to you this being with some of the acquisitions they've made this offseason? And you can't bring up the Mets because we know all the Met fans want to talk about their offseason.
Yeah.
But is there a team that really stands out or sticks out to you where you think that some of the acquisitions they've made and maybe going into the season with the health that they have now are they going to be contenders?
Unfortunately, as a Mets fan, I still have to say the Braves, because the Braves brought back Ozuna. This is what they needed to do. They brought in Charlie Morton, who's one of the best playoff pitchers in baseball right now, and that's what they really needed when they were playing against the Dodgers. They had a lot of young pitchers that pitched well at times, but when they blew the 3-1 lead, a lot of those starting pitchers really had a lot of trouble. So they need that kind of lockdown type postseason pitcher. We can give this guy the ball in a game 6 or a game 7, an elimination game type thing. So they are still very scary. They have a lot of young pitchers that can come up too. And again, they didn't really lose much. Now the Mets obviously got better where they can compete, but that's still going to be a team like in the Braves where they're also playing with a redemption story. They want to come back strong after blowing that 3-1 lead. You saw the Dodgers win the World Series after they blew a big lead against the Nationals, and they should have never lost that series, but that they used that fuel as the fire. And I could see the Braves being that kind of team too, especially with the Mets getting a lot of attention too. That's something that ends up scaring me. They're the kind of that off-season darling type thing,
right?
Like kind of like the Padres are too, to an extent now as well. They're, as a result, I think a lot of teams like the Braves that aren't getting those types of attention will feed off of it.
I agree with you. And I think there's a lot of teams that you look at the Cardinals, you look at the National League, the Padres with the acquisitions they've made, adding Blake Snell to that young pitching staff, and they have a very good lineup, a solidified lineup. I think they overpaid Tatis, a guy that's only been in the league for 2.5 years, and you're giving him a $345 million contract. I wouldn't have overpaid a young player of that magnitude. I think I would have given it a little bit more time. I would be upset if I was Acuna, because Acuna took that $100 million contract, and the Braves, he's a much better player than Tatis. And you're talking about Acuna, he's an MVP candidate every single time he steps on the field. And you got Tatis, who had one great season and a half a season, a shortened season, that he didn't have as good a season as he did his first season. And he's getting a $345 million contract for 14 years. So if I was Acuna, I wouldn't be very happy. That's for sure.
No, definitely not.
Mm-hmm. So it's going to be an interesting spring training. I want to see some of these young players, some of these prospects come up. I want to see Garcia again. I think Aaron Boone is going to have to use him a lot more this year. That's what I want to see. I want to see some of the their pitching staff, especially their bullpen. The Yankees bullpen has gotten a lot better from last year. Trading Ottavino to the Boston Red Sox, you're bringing in Wilson, bringing some of the pieces that they did. I think the Yankees are set up very, very good in the bullpen, which was their strength for the last 20, 25, 30 years, which was one of their weaknesses going into the playoffs last year. So I think it's a lot better than it was last year.
Very surprising that they dropped off as badly as they did last year. It's not like they were just, all right, these guys are a little down. No, they were actually like an average at best bullpen.
Which was crazy. And that had a lot to do with Adam Ottavino and how bad he pitched.
Well, he's always been streaky year to year, so that doesn't
Well, a lot of people blame Aaron Boone for actually overplaying him the first season that he came to the Yankees. And I think that was a big problem. And the way he throws the ball. And being that you're in New York and you're in a home run ballpark. So when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we will be talking to two-time Super Bowl champion, defensive tackle, and College Football Hall of Fame media member, Tony Casillas, here on Down to the Wire.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor, and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit them online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Dear John, I was hoping it wouldn't come to this, but you've left me no choice. I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is really serious, and lately you seem to really not care. I've been there for you since day one, and I know you think I'm gonna keep ticking, but no, my friend, I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to the good times, when we were more active and ate more healthy foods, and you checked on me every once in a while? Is that too much to ask? I don't want to leave, but unless you stop ignoring me, what else am I supposed to do? Remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Doing the minimum to control your high blood pressure isn't doing enough. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get your blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late. Find out how at heart.org/blood pressure. Check, change, control. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're listening to Down to the Wire on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
As you guys know, this is Down to the Wire. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Mr. Speedy Petey. Remember, you can call us at 631-500-0548. You can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Download our app, iOS, WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You know, it's so funny because, like I said, Jillian reached out to me this weekend. She said we have 2 ex-NFL players coming on, and I did my research on this guy, okay? And Speedy was telling me this guy was drafted second overall in the Bo Jackson 1986 draft, which is very interesting because Bo Jackson was probably one of the greatest athletes to ever play in professional sports. So we are now talking to 2-time Super Bowl champion, defensive tackle, and college football Hall of Fame media member, Tony Casillas. What's going on, Tony?
Hey, guys, what's going on? And yeah, you're correct. I was more infamous for being the second player picked in the 86 draft. But since Bo Jackson decided he didn't want to go to Tampa Bay and play baseball, technically, unofficially, I was the number 1 pick. How's that for a little, historical trivia?
You know what's so funny about that is probably when you think about that draft, nobody would even know who you were. You know, because the first thing that pops out is Bo Jackson. I mean, when you talk about one of the greatest athletes to ever play the game, I mean, even football. He didn't have such a long football career because of injury. But this guy, some people say, could have been one of the greatest all-around players we've ever seen. The athletic ability that this guy had, he could play multiple sports. Before we get into Bo Jackson in your career, how are you and your family doing with this pandemic?
You know, we're doing fine until, the Valentine's storm of the century hit us last weekend. And you guys are up in New York, so you guys are familiar with all this weather, and you guys are well equipped for it. But, man, we got hammered. So that's kind of been, people without power in the state of Texas because we're in our own country. And I guess we have our own, electricity grid, and we can't control it. So it's just been a nightmare. But the pandemic, it seemed like it took kind of the back seat to it. Now, I mean, as we know, it's really affected a lot of people. 500,000 people have died from it. But, man, I'll tell you what, I don't know about you guys. I know for us in Texas, we thought 2021 would bring us a little bit more cheer. And just so far, man, we got to hang in there. But we're doing good. I appreciate you asking, man. We're healthy. Knock on wood. It's almost been a year now since the pandemic started. Right. And everyone in my family's gotten it, two of my kids. They're in college, but my wife and I, my oldest son, haven't gotten it. So I'm holding my breath, hoping we don't get it.
Have you ever seen a snowstorm like that hitting Texas the way it did? Because everybody knows Texas is a warm place, and I heard they got hit with like 10 or 12 inches in certain areas. San Antonio got smashed. I know somebody in San Antonio. So have you ever seen anything like that before?
Well, it was 10 years ago. That was when the Super Bowl was here, I believe, in Dallas, and that's the last time we got hit this hard. But the thing about it is they get, one thing about Texas is it's really south. I mean, the southern part of Texas backs up to Mexico, obviously. So you can go almost down to Mexico and you're still in Texas. I mean, Texas is huge. So it's like, places like Galveston where it looked like the frozen tundra and, people can't. I mean, we're not used to this stuff, man. I mean, and when you're used to consume all this power and energy and, people can't drive on it. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever been down to Texas, but if there's even a smidge, a trace of ice or snow coming in, I mean, people run for the hills. There's no more food. But yeah, I mean, to put it in perspective, I mean, you go down on like South Padre, which is, is on the Gulf of Mexico. I mean, it was affected all the way down there. And so we're just not used to it. And it just really just caught us, caught Texas, well, throughout the country, but just caught us off guard. And unfortunately, we're paying the price for it.
So in Texas, and also you went to Oklahoma, that football culture definitely very unique down there. Obviously, you played for the Cowboys for a while. You played college football at Oklahoma, which is definitely a huge market for that. So what is the football culture like as a whole at many different levels, even at high school football and professional? What is that culture like? What are some of the experiences you've had both as a player and even retired after that?
Well, I'm sure you guys have heard that it's a religion in Texas. I mean, football is it's ridiculous, which is great. I think that's one thing about Texas. You look at all the athletes that come out of the state of Texas. I mean, it's very fertile with, guys and, high school players. And I mean, there's so many colleges in Texas. I just know as, someone that, I'm from Oklahoma and played high school football there. It was nothing like that. I mean, it was important, but it wasn't, it wasn't life or death. And I think sometimes it kind of gets in that perspective. But, one thing about football here, man, we love it. And it's kind of an outlet. I think it's been an outlet last, during the fall and the Super Bowl. But I think people really embrace it. And I think Friday nights and obviously Saturday weekends, obviously in college football. But, I mean, Friday night, there's nothing like it. And, the stadiums are amazing. You guys, you just be it's amazing when you look at some of the facilities these high schools built. I mean, we're talking about nicer than college venues. And yet it's a 5A, 6A high school. So yeah, it's very important here. I mean, we like our football in Texas and everybody embraces it.
We are talking to two-time Super Bowl champion, defensive tackle, and college football Hall of Fame media member, Tony Casillas. Now, Tony, you were mentioning Oklahoma, okay? And I am not a big Oklahoma fan, but before we get into the whole quarterback thing, because I am not a big fan of Spencer, and I'm sure you have your own thoughts to it.
Yeah, I believe Kyle. I think someone. I think your co-host let that be known.
Yes,
I was going to give you a hard time about that.
I'm not a big fan, but because I watched him on the QB1 Netflix show, and I got to know who he is as a person, right. And very cocky kid. But that's just me. When you look at Lincoln Riley, and I think Lincoln Riley is an up-and-coming, big-time coach, and I think he should absolutely get a chance to coach in the NFL. His style of game, his offensive style of game, I think it fits the NFL style, the open spread offense type of player, type of coach that he is. Were you surprised? Because I remember that we were hearing Jerry Jones really likes Lincoln Riley. Were you surprised that Lincoln Riley did not even go in to interview for the position, or Jerry Jones didn't even reach out to him and interview with him for the position, and Oklahoma give him the contract that they gave him? Were you surprised about that?
Well, there's this ongoing joke, and it's really not a joke. It's great for Lincoln Riley. It's great for Bob Stoops. Anytime Jerry or a job comes up in Texas, I mean, OU just, they ante up and they come up and we're talking about, okay, what do you need? We're going to give you another extension of your contract and pay you more money. And even if it's true, and I don't know if that's facilitated by their agent or where it's just noise or whatever it is. Lincoln Riley's a tremendous coach. And, I think it's really, for me, I had obviously both perspectives. And I think anybody that's played the game that is silly different. And, while you want to run these type of offenses in the National Football League, it starts to shrink. and we've seen different offenses. You have to have a certain amount. You have to have a quarterback in place in the system, and it'll work. Sometimes it'll work, and sometimes it doesn't. And I think that to me, as a former player at Oklahoma, I would like them to get more defensive oriented, but that's not going to happen because that's not sexy, okay? And so the old guys, always the outcry, that was a defensive player, is like giving them shit because we want defense. And yet it's all about, as you mentioned, Spencer Rattler. I've not seen the Netflix, the QB1, but I think if you're watching that, you kind of get this perspective that he is an arrogant guy that hasn't done anything and has been courted all his life. And but Lincoln Riley is, if he wants the chance to coach in the National Football League, he will. But as long as he has success at Oklahoma, he can do anything he wants to do, and he can get paid as much as he wants. And I think that's going to be the narrative as we move forward. How far does he want to go?
So you brought up the defense being a big problem with Oklahoma over the years. They've always been an offensive first team. And even when they won the national championship in 2000 with Stoops as the coach, they were still more of an offensive team. And now we see in the college football playoff era that they've gotten blown out, except for the game against Georgia. They've gotten blown out a lot of the time because of that lack of defense against other top offensive teams that also have good defenses. So do you think there's a stylistic change that needs to come with Oklahoma? We saw it get a little better this year, their defense, but do you think that could be something they could get away with and still maybe have a good offense because Riley's that good of a coach?
Well, Kyle, I don't know how artificial that is, the statistic. You look at the Big 12, and it's gotten, I think a couple of years ago, they decided they want to kind of slow it down a little bit, and Oklahoma didn't put up his big numbers. I mean, Jalen Hurts, we know the story about him, come from Alabama, and I think that when I went back to watch Oklahoma a couple of years ago when they were playing Houston, it was the first time they had like the first drive, or I think consecutive drives that had 3 and outs. And I'm like, are you serious? Considering, Oklahoma used to be a defensive school. And so it's gotten away from that. And I think it's something that has gotten out of hand. And I think that they've really sacrificed that side of the football because they want to go out and get the Baker Mayfields. They want to get out the Kyler Murrays. They want to go out and get these 5-star offensive players. And yet defensively, those guys aren't around. And if you're not going to get those guys, get the guys that are the 2-star, 3-star, it doesn't really matter. As long as they play, then you got to develop them. And I think that they've really missed their mark on that. And I just look, when I was coming out of college, I was highly rated. And I'm thinking, if I was a defensive player and I really wanted to go somewhere and really play defense, it probably wouldn't be in the Big 12. If I had a chance to go outside the Big 12 and go in the SEC, say Alabama or a team like that plays defense, that's probably where I'd go. And to me, they're really missing out on that because it's not all about offense. And to your point about going into the playoffs, and we see these offenses and defenses, what they do in the playoffs. I mean, look at the Super Bowl. Look at Tampa Bay and Kansas City. I mean, you got to lock down on defense. You got to shut some of those possessions down. And when Oklahoma gets to where they really need to press and stop people, they're not acclimated to it. They don't have the reps to do it. And I think sometimes that really, really is the issue with them going another step further.
Well, you said enough about Spencer Rattler, so we don't really have to get into much of him because
you said when he takes his helmet off every play, like look at me, beautiful. You don't like that?
I can't stand it, man. I can't stand when he was, he was in high school, he was getting touted, and he was going on all those ESPN shows, and he would walk around the school like he owned everything.
That's the way these kids are now.
I can't stand it.
And to me, and I like your younger generation kid, and man, and so
hold on, I'm 38 years old.
Well, compared to me, I mean, I'm just both. You understand? You know how the platform is, and the social media, and how many followers. I get that, and it's the perspective, and it's the branding that all these other schools. Oklahoma, the Oklahomas, the Alabamas. I mean, they feed that. They feed that monster, and we fall for it. And so, to me, it's just really it's fascinating to see where the athlete is today when it comes to social media.
We are talking to two-time Super Bowl champion defensive tackle and college football Hall of Fame media member, Tony Casillas. Now, Tony, let's get into your career as an NFL player. Obviously, if you don't know, Tony was drafted right behind Bo Jackson. He was the second pick in 1986. He went and now he goes to the Cowboys and he wins 2 Super Bowls. What is it like playing for Jimmy Johnson? What is it like being a part of that dynasty of the Dallas Cowboys?
Well, when I was drafted by a team, and it's like, be careful what you wish for. Yeah, you want to be highly drafted, but your chances the higher you go in the draft, that team is going to suck. Okay, you're going to get paid and you get slotted, and if you're a quarterback, yeah, you're going to be franchise guys, but there's going to be growing pains. And so Atlanta at the time, we were horrible, and it wasn't under leadership and the ownership. It wasn't like Arthur Blank, who owns the Falcons now, and they've been to Super Bowl since he's on the team. It was just really winning games was not a priority. It was the bottom line. And so when I went to Dallas, it was amazing because, when I grew up, I like watching the Cowboys. I love Randy White. I love their defensive players, right? Roger Staubach. I mean, all the players that played, back in the day. And so I didn't really think about, I want to, if I get drafted, I want to go and play for the Cowboys, because at that time, I was just glad I was going to get drafted, and just so happened as a second player pick. But when I left Atlanta, I remember, I hated training camp. When we had training camp, it was dog eat world, man. It was 105 degree. We just, beat the hell out of each other and everything. So I remember when I got traded to Dallas and we had training camp in Austin, and it was 105 degrees. And when I landed there was all this mass media. It's kind of like living in New York, with the media, and there was just so much media. And I'm like, wow, what is this? And if you remember, you go back, Dallas wasn't that good. In 80, 90, they missed the playoffs, I think. Atlanta beat us we beat them in the last game of the season, I think. And so they haven't started this run as far as success. I remember going there, and then I'm thinking there was like 12,000 people watching practice at training camp. We had that many people at a game when I was in Atlanta, and I'm thinking, this is nuts. So it just elevated the energy. And sometimes change is good, and really that just revitalized my career. Change in scenery and change in the place, so there was better energy, and all of a sudden you're like back to the why you played the game of football. It was just to have fun and get paid, but man, it was just amazing, the change and the vibe and just the attitude. And of course, 91 went to the playoffs, and the rest is history. Back-to-back Super Bowls I never have dreamt of, man. It was just ridiculous.
So they actually went through in the 90s, after they won the 2 Super Bowls, a very shocking decision when Jimmy Johnson got fired by a then young Jerry. And now a lot of Cowboys fans, they don't like Jerry Jones very much. But again, his ego wasn't as strong back then as it is now, obviously. So what was your reaction as a player at the time when that ended up being the case? They bring in Barry Switzer, who was actually your coach at Oklahoma. Yeah. And so I don't know did you go back there with him? I don't remember, because I know you had a stint with the Jets in between in the 94, 95 after that. And then you went back to Dallas.
By the way, I do remember you on the Jets.
Yeah. What was that whole reaction like? Even the shock factor of them firing Johnson as well as he was doing, and also bringing in Switzer, who was your coach.
Yeah, you probably remember me playing for the Jets about as long as the New York Minute. It was, and that was Rich Kotite and Pete Carroll was the coach the first year. And then Dick Steinberg decided he was going to fire him. And I always tell people I was very, very blessed. I was very lucky to be coached by 2 great leaders. And Coach Switzer he's like my second dad, and he'd be my lifeline call. If I ever had to call someone, I would call him. And the guy's 80-something years old, but he's got the mind of a 21-year-old. His photographic memory remembers everything. And then you have, to your point, Jimmy Johnson. I think people were shocked. I think that we saw the external part of the relationship of Jerry Jones and Jimmy, these couple of buddies that went to University of Arkansas. His buddy makes all this money. He's a billionaire and buys his team. And he hires them. and we didn't really see the internal effects of it. And I think it really came to a head when they were at the Senior Bowl, and Jerry got drunk, and the bunch of coaches in the bar, and he told all the coaches in the bar that there was 500 other coaches could have did exactly what you did, that being Jimmy Johnson, and all of a sudden hell broke loose. And so we didn't see that. And as you know, you have two egos like that, and you have ownership and you have general manager and head coach. I think the ownership is probably going to win that battle. But I think everyone was pretty much shocked when it happened. I remember whenever I heard the news, I'm like, what? And then I was really shocked when Barry Switzer got the job. Coach Switzer wasn't doing it. He's laying on his couch, and Jerry Jones calls him up. Hey, what are you doing? He says, well, I'm just chilling and having a glass of red wine. And said, well, how would you like to come down to Dallas and coach the Cowboys? I said, okay. And by the way, I'll pay you a couple mil to do it. I mean, what are you going to do? And then if I told you have a chance to win a Super Bowl or maybe multiple ones, I mean, I'm there. But yeah, I think that the question was always, and I think you looked at Tom Landry, you looked at the history, how that happened, how that marriage broke up with the way Jerry fired, the royalty and Tom Landry. And then you saw what happened perpetuated between Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones and how that ended. I think everyone always a question was, what would have happened if Jimmy Johnson would have continued to be the GM and the head coach for another 3-4 years? Would we have been like the New England Patriots? We would have won 5 Super Bowls. We would have won 4 in a row. We'll never know that. But I think a lot of people would kind of really like to just have wishful thinking and like, well, what would that have been like?
Well, you mentioned Rich Kotite, who never got a job after getting that head coach job for the New York Jets. And we had a guy named Adam Gase here, who will probably never get a job in the NFL again after Mr. Cuckoo Eyes screwed up a quarterback where everybody thought that he was the quarterback guru. So we look at your career and we look at some of the quarterbacks that you played with. Obviously, Troy Aikman, who's one of the greatest quarterbacks of our era, in the 90s era. So out of all the players that you played with, and you played with some really great players on those Cowboy teams, what player was the most impressive player to watch and practice and watching him on the field? And what player really stuck out to you as far as personality? Who was it? What really, and do you have a story behind it?
Well, I have a lot of stories. And that was so great about, and I think we always, as players back in that generation, when that was the rock star years of the Cowboys, are glad we didn't have these little things, these little cell phones back then, because there would have been some documented moments. But I'll start with, we had so many magnetic personalities on the team. You mentioned Troy Aikman. Troy, to me, I love Troy Aikman. I saw where he went and watched Deion Sanders, supported him for his first win. Unfortunately, someone decided they were going to steal all his personal belongings. Deion Sanders after the game, which finally I guess he got him back. But anyway, he went there to support the former player. And so that's kind of what Troy is. Troy, to me, I think you need quarterbacks that are humble, that are stoic in a good way, where that it's like, it reminds me a lot of, I always say the great quarterbacks are the quarterbacks that you want to play for. And like Tom Brady, I could see guys that's going out there and pouring their guts out for this dude, because he's doing everything that he's going to do to try to win and prepare. And that was like Troy. He had those leadership skills, and that's hard for a quarterback. I mean, you either have them, you're either born with them, or you're not. And you really need to. It really comes to the head when you're an NFL quarterback, because there's guys that are going to respond to you, and they're going to look for you for leadership that maybe you didn't have when you're in college, because it's all. The college football coach was the franchise player back then. The quarterback had leadership, but when you go to the NFL, so you had Troy, and then you go down the line. Certainly, you look at Michael Irvin. I mean, there's so many tremendous stories about him. We had so many great times, and Emmitt Smith was I played with 4 Hall of Famers: Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Charles Haley, and then obviously Michael Irvin. But it was just there was something going on all the time I mean, because we were so good. And I hate people hate to hear this, but especially back in the 90s, that brand, that star, we were stars because we won. Now you got the team now that they haven't won anything, and yet they still live like that. And for me, it's kind of hard to, and a lot of other people, former players, like, okay, what part of this am I missing? You're living like you did something that's been freaking 25 years ago. None of you guys are even alive, but to your point about the players, I mean, we had guys that when times are bad would make things funny, where you were grinding would just kind of break up the monotony. We had guys like Nate Newton. We had Kevin Gogan, who would play so many pranks on different rookies, and I could go on forever and tell you about the different guys. But going and playing in the Super Bowls and being in Hollywood the first year, the first Super Bowl 27, we belonged out there because we were Hollywood. We were Hollywood in Texas, and we lived like that. We went on the road because, guys, every place we went, it's like people would show up at the hotel. We'd be in New York, and we're like, aren't you guys Giants fans? We knew they weren't the Jets fan back there, but aren't you guys cheering for the Giants? That's ridiculous. As you know, to think the Dallas Cowboy fans had that many, you go to the hotel on enemy territory, even in Philadelphia, of all places. Think about that, even in Washington. We're like, you guys are going to get shot around here if you guys wear that Cowboy jersey. But, that was just kind of the magnetism that we had. And it's just because of just all the different personalities, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who got the credit. A lot of these guys now, it's like, I want the credit. I want to have 500 million followers. But we didn't care because you know what? The guy that got 25 million followers, the other guys behind him, but below him, were going to get 5 to 10 million. So in essence, we all were in it together. And the best way to describe those teams was unselfishness. No one cared. It didn't matter because guess what? We're going to get ours.
Mm-hmm. So I want to ask you about your other thing we were introducing you as a College Football Hall of Fame media member that you're involved in. So what is involved in that kind of
Hall of Fame media? I'm a Hall of Fame football player. I don't know about a media contributor.
I read with media.
No.
Okay.
So I'm obviously been in. I'm not that good. I wish I was because
congratulations.
I would probably be like Herb Steve, but that's okay. It's all right. So I'm a College Football Hall of Famer. I've been in the media. I've been doing podcasts and contributing for different networks over the years. But that's okay. You can call it whatever you want to put on my resume. I'll take. But no, I'm a Hall of Famer, College Football Hall of Famer as a player.
Right, yeah, awesome. Well, he was come on, Speedy. He was the number 2 pick, right behind.
It's okay. It's all right. Yeah.
Player, but
I was wondering what you're asking, a media player.
Yeah,
I missed that.
I read it.
You're listening to me talking, like, well, how did he do that? He can barely pronunciate.
Oh, get out of here! You're way better than him. Don't worry. I am terrible.
That's called research, Kyle. Okay, we can do some research for the freaking show. Okay. Do you need glasses? I got a pair of glasses, an old man glasses right here. You want these so you can read my bio?
Maybe you could send me those if we have you on again.
Hey, it's National Margarita Day, so maybe you'll need a couple of margaritas, or maybe you drank a couple of margaritas before the show.
He loves to drink. Wouldn't do it before the show, but yes.
I'm just busting the chops, man. It's all good.
I would not do it before the show. I'm not that crazy. You got to see him drunk, Tony. You got to see him drunk. It's hilarious. I'm not much of a drinker, but I am definitely the class clown. That's for sure.
Well, did you see the OU football player that got his ass kicked by the MMA fighter at a bar, Norman?
Yep.
Okay,
that just happened. That was just that hit the news. You know what it is that everybody. It's so dangerous now to go out there in public because everybody's got a phone, everybody's got social media, and all they got to do is capture you do something stupid. You can ruin your career just in the blink of an eye. Look what happened to Rice. Look what happened to all these different guys. And domestic violence is just it's despicable. But
people can take videos. There's videos on the elevators. There's videos in the bathroom now. I mean, even though it's illegal, they still hide video cameras in the bathroom. So it's dangerous. You got to be very, very careful when you're out in public because you don't know what the heck is, sticking at you. If it's not a phone, it's a camera on the top of a pole or something. So
well, it's bad judgment on his part. His name is Spitzer Jones, and he's a wide receiver hash. He's a holder on the PAT, the place kick holder, and just mess with the wrong person. But anyway, yeah, look, I mean, you can't do anything without a phone, and it's gone viral. And yeah, you got to use better judgment. Don't mess with a wrestler or MMA fighter.
MMA fighter. I did MMA for almost 6 years.
Well, don't mess with you. I mean, I wouldn't. Look, it's always hey. Dynamite comes in small packages, brother.
It's true. I'm not that small. I'm about 217, but I when I was fighting, I was at 170. So I was cutting like 30, 35 pounds, which drained the hell out of me. 2 weeks before a fight, I would drop 30 pounds. It was
the moral of the story is that go out and have fun. You get liquored up.
Course.
Don't get in a fight. I mean, there's nothing good about that.
You don't want to go to jail. That's what you don't want to
Exactly.
You don't want to be sitting with Bubba, okay? Tony, I will say this. We interview a lot of different people, ex-athletes, Hall of Famers. We've interviewed some of the new up-and-coming big-time superstar athletes.
I saw the people on your
you're very professional. You give us precise answers, and you got a great personality. And I definitely want to get you on again because
absolutely.
I think you give us some good insight, not only as an ex-NFL player, but just as an ex-athlete that understands what even from Oklahoma to playing college football, being a Hall of Famer that you are, or playing professional football, being a 2-time Super Bowl champion. You have succeeded everywhere you've gone. And now as a businessman, what you're doing right now as a podcaster / what you do with your family and everything like that. I think it's an amazing story. I really do.
Well, I appreciate it. I think the transition is always difficult, and I've been out for a long time. And, I think you go through growing pains of the transition to anything. You're used to a life that's structured for you that, it's pretty much cut and dried. You make a lot of money. Hopefully you have success as a player. Then after it's over, they don't give you a manual on what to do. And that's something you have to learn and look at. Things aren't easy. I mean, there's ups and downs. You lose money, you earn money. That's part of it. But what are you going to do? I think as an athlete, you're used to getting your ass knocked down, and guess what? You get back up. It's like life. So, hey, as long as you just keep crawling and scratching and making, trying to create opportunities, it's all good.
Well, you were a Jet, so that's near and dear to my heart. So even if you were there for 2 years and you played for Rich Kotite and Pete Carroll, who became a superstar coach, a Super Bowl champion over there in Seattle, couldn't do anything with the Jets, why am I not surprised? I mean, I've been rooting for this team for my whole life, and this team I've never seen this team ever step foot on a Super Bowl field. So hopefully in the near future, maybe you'll be a part of the coaching staff. Maybe the Robert Sala will bring you in as a linebacker coach or something.
Yeah, I hope the Jets. I think that they went through a time when they were, the needle was pointing up, and I think that they obviously took a step back. But man, I tell you what, they weren't as bad as when I was playing back in the day. And I think it's hard to say when you saw what they've done the last couple of years, but. I think the fans there, that's one thing I like the New York fans is that they're loyal. And like yourself, I mean, if you're a Jets fan or a Giants fan, you're loyal to them. And so, it's hard. It's been, I think the Cowboy fans, they got a lot to complain about, but it could be a lot worse other places, right?
We got a lot of Cowboy fans here. That's for sure.
At least they're not as bad as in Philadelphia, where they'll throw stuff on the field.
Yeah, that's for sure.
They are a whole different level of crazy.
Yeah,
they hired an interesting coach too, so that'll be an interesting couple of years to watch this Philadelphia Eagles team win. They finally win a Super Bowl, and then they fire their coach 2 years later. Makes no sense. That's Philadelphia, ladies and gentlemen. Tony, thank you for joining us, my friend.
Guys, You're welcome. It's always great to be, listed on my resume as a college football Hall of Famer media member. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Kyle, I appreciate you anointing me to that. Hey, I enjoyed it, guys. You guys, hey, stay safe up in New York.
I will. Tell the fans how they can find you on social media.
It's on social media. Twitter is TC Casillas, Casillas. It's Casillas. You can follow me on Instagram, Tony Casillas. And then I actually do a podcast on Wednesday nights, 6:30 Central Standard Time. You can check me out on Facebook Live. Subscribe to my show on YouTube channel. And also do a podcast that's on Blogging the Boys. Nothing but cowboy content. So if you're a New York fan, you may not want to go out, but still, we got cowboy fans throughout the country. Blogging the Boys called the 750. Check us out there, man. I really appreciate that.
We know a very big cowboy fan that listens to the show that will ride and die with his team no matter how bad they are, and he's still. You know what he told us before we let you go?
Yeah, you got to hear this.
Before we let you go, he told all of us that Dak Prescott's going to win not one, not two, but 3 Super Bowls in a row. That's what he said.
And he also said that Ezekiel Elliott can run on the same offensive line as Barry Sanders.
Wow, he must be celebrating the National Margarita Day. Hey, first of all, they need to sign Dak Prescott to an extension before he can get another 3 years.
Absolutely.
And then Ezekiel Elliott, I played against Barry Sanders. He humiliated me. I'm part of his top 5 humiliated plays, and I look like a dumbass on one of his plays. You can Google it, and I think it comes up under Tony Casillas' dumbass play on versus Barry Sanders. And I can honestly say I've never seen anybody quite like Barry Sanders. The dude was amazing, but I hope he's right. I really do. For all the Cowboy fans, I hope he is partly right. I mean, we'll take a smidge, maybe one. How about an NFC Championship game? We'll take that.
That would be good. That would be good. Dak could do that. I could see that. I like Dak, by the way, but I never pick on Dak. I think Dak is a good quarterback. And all the trials and tribulations he's been, his mother passing away, then his brother committing suicide. I mean, this guy, and then he hurts his leg the same year as his brother committing suicide, and he's still standing. He's still on the commercial. He still has a smile on his face. It's an incredible story. I think Dak Prescott is somebody that you can absolutely root on and root for with the way he's gone through his career and still standing on his 2 feet and still, I believe, a top 10 quarterback in the league. So
he's a great man, and he really is. And look, they need to get it done, and we'll see. I'm sure something will happen, but the worst thing, the nightmare you want to happen is not kind of bet on yourself like you did last year and get injured horrifically like that. And so it seems like to me, all the leveraging and everything switches directions, but they'll get him signed. We'll be good.
Tony, thank you, bud.
All right, guys.
Tony Casillas, and guys, if you don't know who he is, 2-time Super Bowl champion with the Cowboys, Hall of Fame college player. I mean, the guy, everywhere he's gone, he has been successful, and nice guy, really great interview, great personality, and he took a shot at Speedy, which I love him even more.
And whoever wrote the article that fooled me.
No, well, that's all right. Anyways, we have our third guest, and we get him on every single Monday. And Mark Kelly. What's going on, Mark?
Hey, guys. I didn't realize that was at first. I went to his first game as a Jet. It was against the Bears on a Sunday night in 1994. And I was excited because they got this guy from Dallas who had won Super Bowls. But it's funny. You ask him about that play. If you watch that Barry Sanders play, he's standing there and Sanders runs right by him because he thought Sanders got tackled. It was in that playoff game. The only playoff game Detroit's won since 1957. They beat Dallas 38-6 in 1991. That was the year Mike Utley got hurt. And it looked like they had Sanders, and it was kind of in a pile, and then Casillas just standing there, and Sanders goes right by him. As soon as I knew it was him, I wanted to ask him about that. And then he mentioned it himself. So, no, but I remember when he came over to the Jets, but he didn't play long with them. And he certainly didn't play much.
No,
I thought he was going to make a difference, but no.
No, but he had a good career. It don't matter. You're a college football Hall of Famer, and then you win 2 Super Bowl championships with those Dallas Cowboy teams.
Yeah.
I mean, you play with some of the greatest players to ever play the game.
Yeah, he had a good career with Dallas. Definitely.
Absolutely.
He was
Absolutely.
part of that turnaround. Yeah. He went to Oklahoma, right?
Yep, Oklahoma. And
Yeah.
I brought up his little friend, Spencer Ratliff, and he agrees with me. Spencer is a guy that is a pretty boy who likes to take off his helmet and show off. And I do. And I'll tell you this right now, and he will be eligible for the NFL next year. Good riddance, whoever takes that kid in the draft, because I don't care how talented he is. I do not want him on my team. I don't want his personality on my team. The guy stands out like a sore thumb. I want to smack him around a couple of times. I can't.
Well, tell us how you feel, Errol.
I can't stand that kid, man. I can't stand that kid. I want enough that I saw him on that Netflix show, but after what I've seen and his personality and the way he is, he walks around like he just doesn't. Everything is perfect in his wonderful life, and and he thinks he's such hot. I don't want to say it on live radio, but everybody knows what I'm talking about. But
yeah, I get the picture.
We call this segment "Mark It Up."
This is Mark It Up.
Did you guys see? Did you guys see any of the new draft analysis? Like, I know, Earl, you and I were talking a couple of weeks ago about DeShaun Watson if the Jets would trade for him, and like it goes back and forth on whether he's going to be a Jet or not, or whether he wants to be a Jet, or if he's interested in playing for them. Nobody really knows what the truth is, and no one really, I think, understands why the Jets would pass on trading for him if he wanted to come there, except for maybe they don't have enough or they don't want to give up enough. But I think that's if you're a Jet fan, that's probably the thing that's you're gonna question the most is what if he comes to the Jets. If he doesn't, then they'll probably always regret that if they had a chance to get him. And I don't like that they would trade Sam Darnold and then draft a rookie again. I don't like that. You and I talked about that already. I'd much rather go with Darnold and give him a legit chance with some improved talent around. And it seems like if they trade down, they can get more capital. They really need numbers. I don't see one guy coming in and making a huge difference right now anyway. So if they traded down and got more picks in the second round, I think that would probably be the best thing to do.
Well, they'll get more than that. If you have a team like Carolina moving up to number 2, you're going to get another first-round draft pick. You're moving 8-2. That's a significant. You're getting the quarterback that you want at number 2. You could get a haul for that pick.
Yeah. Well, say they slowly move down the first round. Like, I would first see if Atlanta's interested, since they're at 4, and they're probably going to look to it to replace Matt Ryan soon. And then once you trade with them, you can maybe go down to to Cleveland or some other team that's higher up, even Carolina or Denver, and try and do it that way. So you get their first round pick, and then you get a slew of second round picks. Try to do that as many times as you can, because there are going to be guys that are right available at the end of the first round, beginning of second round, that can really help a lot of teams, especially the Jets. There's going to be offensive linemen available, defensive ends, cornerbacks, wide receivers, so many different holes that they have that they need to kind of cover in bulk. They could put easily 6-7 new guys on their team in the first 3 rounds if they planned it out right. And I think that Douglas is pretty good at that, so I'd be interested to see it and what he's going to do. I'd really be surprised if he takes the BYU kid at quarterback. I don't know why at this point you would judge him better for your franchise than Darnold, who's been there, hasn't shown. I mean, he's shown that he can play. It's just he needs some kind of protection, and he needs some kind of wide receivers and backs that can catch the ball and run. So to say he's only 23, he's probably just the same age as these other guys. Look, I think it'd be a mistake if they let him go.
I agree with you. There are some things that I would look at Sam Darnold. If you can get a late first round draft pick for Sam, I'd trade him. I would trade him because remember, you're going to have to pay him after this year. You're going to have to pay him $25 million.
They won't.
But they're going to have to if they're not going to go after Zach Wilson.
They have to pay him. They can't pay him $25 if he's an average quarterback. I mean, even if he has a good year, he's not going to warrant that type of money. I mean, if he comes out and wins the Super Bowl, maybe
Ryan Tannehill warranted almost $19 million. So that was 2 years ago. So scouting this year. So
and he played well enough to get to the playoffs, and he
jumped in the playoffs.
He did something significant. If Darnold comes in and leads them to the playoffs, you're going to have to pay somebody anyway if you want to get to the playoffs. His price, I think, would be a little bit lower than somebody, obviously, than DeShaun Watson, but than some of these other guys that they would sign or try to get them to the playoffs, because he hasn't really done much so far in his career. So he's not going to be as if they win with him, he'll be just as I think he'll be the best bet for their financial future decisions, because he won't warrant the same money that imagine if the BYU kid comes in and then like 2-3 years later what they're going to have to pay him. So you might as well just bite the bullet now if you want instant success.
The only way I keep Sam Darnold is if you believe that you can move down and get more picks for that number 2 pick. If not, if you can get Sam Darnold for a late first-round draft pick, you trade Sam Darnold, and then you decide between Zach Wilson and Justin Fields. And which one you think would fit the culture over there for the New York Jets, you take one or the other, and you ride with them. But if you're not going to get a late first-round draft pick for Sam, you keep Sam, and you build around Sam. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to think that they would get a late first rounder.
People are saying that they will.
But they didn't get one for Carson Wentz.
No, but
Carson Wentz also has injury problems.
Yes, Sam Darnold.
So does Darnold.
Yeah, but Sam Darnold doesn't have any significant injuries. There was no tears. Right. He's never had a tear in his shoulder. He's never had any ACL injury. Most of them are minor, ankle, foot, nothing broken, nothing mono. I mean, nothing where it's going to stop him from succeeding, in the future. So, yes, he's had injuries, but not big ones. Like Carson Wentz tore his ACL, his MCL, and his meniscus all at once. He was never the same quarterback ever since that injury. So that's why Carson Wentz they didn't get a slew of picks for Carson Wentz because of the injuries.
And outside of this year too, Mark, besides the receivers being hurt this year, Carson Wentz generally had great offensive lines. Probably the Eagles there were years where they were the best offensive line in football, and they had not great, but decent receivers. Zach Ertz, a top tight end at the time. Darnold never had anything like that. So, but between that and the age difference, I still think Sam is going to, I don't know if he'll spawn a first round pick, but he's going to spawn more value than Wentz.
Hope so. So you guys like what the Mets did in the offseason?
What was your question? I'm sorry?
You guys like what the Mets did in the offseason?
Did I like what the Mets? I think the Mets have solidified themselves and set themselves up very, very well for a playoff run. I think they need to add some more pieces in the bullpen. Besides that, I think the Mets did it very well. Adding Lindor, adding May, McCann. I think this team is going to be a lot better. And Carrasco, they got to steal in that trade because everybody keeps talking about Lindor. I think the best part of that trade was adding Carrasco to that pitching staff.
Yeah, me too. So. Petey, does St. John's make the tournament?
That's going to be very tough. The end of the Big East has definitely been very interesting. Seton Hall, they had a slump, and now they're starting to climb back. St. John's is that team. Yeah, they could get hot at the right time. They still need a lot. Killer
loss on Saturday.
Absolutely right. So that's what to make it hard. And again, the back end of the Big East, not like last year, isn't as deep. Where those losses are going to say, all right, you lost to a good team. No, it's not as deep as it was last year. So if they could keep where they're going, maybe, but they're going to need to do a lot in the Big East tournament, I think.
I know. It's funny because when Lenardi used to come to ESPN, Lenardi's a guy. He's just a regular guy, and he created this thing that differentiates the teams. Nobody really understands his formula. Certainly, nobody really knows it. But he comes around once a year. I mean, he doesn't even really like sports. He's not a sports fan. He's just a numbers guy. And so all of the ESPN site is so dedicated to him and all the things that he projects and all that. And he does just as good as Jerry Palm over at CBS is just as good as he is.
Yeah.
So all those guys are you had to pass certain tests with those guys in order to qualify as far. be able to talk to them when I worked there. I remember emailing Jerry Palm, and he wouldn't give me the time of day until I sent him like my preview, and then all of a sudden he realized I knew what I was talking about. But I think the NCAA tournament, if it can get, I missed it last year, so it'd be nice to see it again. And down here at least, Alabama, they could win their first regular season title since 2002. And I know, Speedy, you like them.
Loves them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
I think they're definitely dangerous with what they've done.
He's got them in the Final Four.
In the S. Well, I have to say bracket first, but
Let me ask you something, because I said this to guys down here. I said this on our show the other day, our TV show, because this is really what stood out when they lost to Missouri. Was Quinn Early had no shot attempts in 28 minutes, and a guy that's like the second, third leading scorer on their team. The last 5 games, he was their second leading scorer next to Shackelford, and no shot attempts in 28 minutes. A guy that averages 9 points a game and like 8 shots a game. That to me was like the most confusing thing I ever saw.
Right. Shackelford is that's kind of that second, third option type of guy. Obviously, we know Petty's the guy. He could probably be an SEC Player of the Year type player, the way he's played this year. That was definitely surprising. But you also saw Alabama really prove that even though they got badly outplayed for a while, they also proved that they could come back and almost make that a game. They made that really close at the end, which is a good thing when I'm looking at a new team, because Alabama, they're rising. We knew they were a rising team for a while with Nate Oates, but we didn't expect to make this big of a leap. That's what you want to see when it comes to the tournament time with rising teams. Can they play well in that late game stretch? And that was even though they lost to Missouri, that ended up being a big thing for them. And still, again, they've dominated SEC play all throughout, where the SEC's had some teams starting to get into slumps. Now Missouri's struggling. Now a team like Florida starting to struggle. Tennessee's looked really bad at home for whatever reason.
This could be the first time in 40 years that the Duke Blue Devils, North Carolina, and Kansas and Arizona might not make the tournament. Could you imagine that? 4 powerhouse teams not making the tournament?
And Kentucky.
And Kentucky too.
They're pretty much doomed unless they win the SEC tournament.
But here's the guy I like. I really like Herbert Jones. I think he's going to win the SEC Player of the Year. He does everything well. He leads them in like 4 or 5 other categories except scoring, and he's been right up there the last 4 or 5 games as far as leading scorer. Petty kind of hit a skid a little bit last 5 games. Shackelford has really taken over, and Shackelford took over the other game that they played against Vanderbilt. And they play Arkansas, which is really showing itself to be the second best team in the SEC. They play them next. So that'll be interesting to see where they go. And then also some teams also won't qualify for the tournament. I know Auburn isn't qualified for the tournament this year, the SEC tournament. So that's going to be interesting to see, because Auburn played Alabama tough this year, certainly tougher than some of these other teams that played them. And it'll be interesting to see how that goes once it starts. Because remember, the 12-13, they got to win 6 games if they want to win the tournament. And if I think if you finish in the top 4, you get 2 buys to the quarterfinal round. So and it's always interesting. I love these conference tournaments. They're my favorite part. Championship week was always my favorite part of more than the NCAA tournament because of all the chaos in the smaller. I love all that stuff. We had to when I started there, and I did college basketball for 4 years. All right, and they came to me after my second year, and they said, I want you guys to think of different ways they could run the NCAA tournament. And so we submitted a bunch of things. My idea was that you would have, back then it was just 64 teams. That was even before they went to 68, where you would have all the conference champions, the conference tournament champions, which is there were 32 of them, because there were 32 conferences, obviously. And then you would have the at-large teams. So you would have the conference champions in one bracket, and then you would have the at-large teams in the other bracket. So it would really give the significance to winning your conference tournament, because you would play some of these smaller conferences possibly until the Sweet 16 or maybe even the Elite 8. And then the at-large teams, you would just have chaos with them, knocking off each other. So, and if you didn't win, say you went 29-1 during the regular season and you lost in your conference tournament. I know one year Cincinnati with Kenyon Martin, he got hurt in the conference tournament, and then they got knocked out. And they would have been, in my thing, they would have been an at-large team that year. So it really puts a lot of precedent on winning your conference tournament, for the big conferences, that you don't get caught in that quagmire of the at-large teams. But they didn't go with it. So either way, it didn't matter.
I want to ask you just based on that setup because that is very unique. Do you think there would be more upsets being with a lot of the sleeper teams are conference champions from weaker conferences, the 13 seeds, the 14 seeds, stuff like that? Do you think there'd be more or less upsets in that kind of setup?
I think there'd be more because you have more opportunities. I mean, you don't get like the George Masons and the Butlers now. There's a lot more of that happen. There's a lot more of that happening. I remember 1 year Iowa State had a very good team, and they lost to Tarvis. Tarvis Williams was a big time player. I think this was in like 2000 in the first round, a 215 matchup. I forget the name, but they were like from the MEAC or something like that. And it was one of the big, they were only a handful of 215 upsets back
A couple
then.
of years ago, Michigan State.
Yeah, a couple. I mean, I know Syracuse lost to Richmond 1 year.
I remember what was it 2-3 years ago? I picked Michigan State to go to the national title game. They
2016. I think I did too.
Yeah, and they lost. They lost in the first round.
Yeah.
Tennessee. Mm-hmm.
It's funny that you have Virginia losing the first ever 116 matchup, but then they come back and win a national championship. So it's very it's just great. The NCAA tournament's great, and I remember 1 year we had Florida was like. Until Billy Donovan got there, Florida was routinely they would stink out in a tournament, no matter how high a seed. They would either lose in the first round so they played Butler before Butler was really good, just back in 2000. And Mike Miller hit a shot at the buzzer in the first round, 5-12 matchup. Which, if you study the first round, 5-12 matchups are like the death nail, like a 12 always
almost 50-50. Yeah,
always beats a 5,
Mhm.
and some guy on Butler hit a 3 falling down out of bounds, and I put him up 1, and everybody was going crazy. And then Miller kind of calmly made it and hit a game-winning shot. And that was a pretty good Florida team. That had Adonis Hazelman, it had Teddy Dupay. I don't know if you remember Teddy Dupay, but he was one of the best college players. And then they made it they wound up making it to the final and losing to Michigan State that year. Just to show you, they almost got lost in the first round, and then continued that failure that Florida was known for in the first round, and then actually made it to the finals. Same thing with Michigan in 1989 when they had Glenn Rice. Their teams in 86, 87, they had guys like Roy Tarpley, Gary Grant. The years before, they'd always lose to North Carolina in a Sweet 16. North Carolina with like King Rice and J.R. Reed and those guys, Kenny Smith when he was there, and then. Finally, those guys graduated, and then Rice was their superstar. But other guys like Lloyd Vaught and Mike, I think it was Mike Griffin, Sean Higgins, these guys were really kind of unknowns, and they made it, and they won the national championship. And I think Glenn Rice still holds the record for most points in the NCAA tournament for one player in 1 year. And they beat Seton Hall, who had a guy called John Morton, scored 35 points in that championship.
Man of 1,000 numbers in his head. That's for sure. I mean, Mr. Numbers Man. Before we let you go, man, how are you over there? How's everything going over there in Alabama? What's the weather like over there?
Man, it was cold last week.
Really? Cold to you?
Yeah, I got it snowed last week. So I felt like I was at home. I go outside to see my breath. Got to clean off my car. And that. Down here, they don't know. Like, snow happens, and it's just like you might as well. Like, they wouldn't know. People here down here wouldn't know a snow shovel if they got hit in the head. Like, it's just that they don't deal with it, and then they don't have trucks that put dirt and salt on the road. They don't have those down here. There's only like maybe 2 trucks in the whole state that would do that. So if it's icy, like Bill Pito. A guy I worked with at ESPN, probably the most quoted guy ever at ESPN. Bill Pito had a saying, when it gets icy, things get dicey. And definitely down here, that's when it gets icy on the road, you do not want to be on the road.
Now Bill Pito's working for MSG. So
I know. I love Pito, man. He would go from like, because he was a cool guy, but like if you did something wrong, man, he would rip you apart. And I remember one time I put his cards in the I put his cards in the wrong number because you get your rundown and then you're looking and you say, okay, A1 is St. John's and Syracuse, A2 is Georgetown and Villanova, and so I handed him the cards, and then as I'm walking back, the producer says in my earpiece, I'm changing something in the A's, and then we come back from commercial, so I couldn't. I'm standing, I'm trying to get his attention. I couldn't do it.
You sweated. All the highlight reels are ultra scrambled.
Yeah, and he's reading off the score panels, and then he comes to one, and then he's like reading the information I gave him, and the score panel says something else. So I know I'm going to get ripped apart at the commercial. And so the commercial comes, he throws down the cards, and damn it, Kelly, if you're going to give me these cards 2 seconds before you come out here, they better be right. We had so many of those things because Pito, you do that, and then the next second he'd be, he was a great guy. I really miss him. I've tried to get in touch with him, but I didn't have his number. But
go on Twitter. It's the best way to get a hold of him.
Yeah, I love Pito, man. He is a great guy. But he really didn't know sports, and they would tease him and everything. But
he was hockey with him.
Everybody quoted him. Everybody.
Mm-hmm. Well, smart guy, good with his words.
Yeah, he was graduated from Ivy League.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So-
I didn't graduate from Ivy League. Maybe that's why I'm not so swift with my words.
Yeah, well, you get there, Earl. Just got to try,
Oh God, read a dictionary, Earl.
Yeah, I thought you were saying something else.
A thesaurus, or maybe I should smack Speedy around. That's irrelevant. Irrelevant. That's his favorite word. Irrelevant. One word you know how to pronounce.
What's funny is like when we get together and I'm with Speedy, everyone just kind of stands at us because me and Speedy can go on and on for like hours. Just like, remember when this happened? Remember when that happened? We go like down the line of history of all these things, and people make fun of us, think we're nerds.
Well, Speedy is, Mr. Tidy Whitey man. That That is is not true. It is true. Mark, do not listen to It him. is true. I am not wearing Tidy Whities.
Doesn't matter, Speedy. I know the truth.
Buy Speedy's new underwear Tidy Whities in Walmarts near you. Nope.
You guys, man. Hey, how'd you get Casillas? That was a great get.
That was Jill. That was Jillian. She reached out. I told her to reach out some ex-NFL players, and she got them. So Tony's a really, really nice guy. We're gonna get him on again. Very good interview. Absolutely very good interview.
Yeah, he played with like Jamel Holloway and Keith Jackson and those guys at Oklahoma. Won the national championship. Barry Switzer, right?
Mm-hmm. Barry Switzer, he says, is like a father figure. Still talks to him on the phone. He's like 80-something years old, and he says he has a sponge for a brain who remembers everything. Everything.
Barry Switzer?
Yeah, Barry Switzer says he remembers everything from play to play, from year to year and everything. That's what he said. So he still has a great memory. Unbelievable. 80-something years old and remembers everything. Mark, thank you for joining us, my friend.
All right, guys. See you next week.
I will see you next week, and I will talk to you this week, my friend.
Cool. Take care, guys.
Mark Kelly, ladies and gentlemen. Mark it up. I love Mark. Yeah, as everybody knows. I love him. He's the insight and his personality definitely draws to the fan. Before we go, I'd like to thank ex-NFL player and XFL player, running back, founder of Memoriibrand Mack Brown for joining us. Great interview. I also would like to thank at 7:15 two-time Super Bowl champion, defensive tackle, and college Hall of Famer Tony Casillas, who was awesome too, and Mark Kelly. Thank you. And all the fans that listen to us every single day. We'll be back on Wednesday, as you guys know, for Below the Mic, so I could smack Speedy around a couple of times. You know what it is. You got this pen, and we could just shove it in his ear. I'll just stick it in his ear, but I'm not going to do it. It'll be hard to do with me having a headset on, but okay. I could smack you around a couple times and knock that headset out of your head.
And then something else would probably fall too. And then the show
Your head will fall off?
If the headset goes, they're attached to something else, so odds are something else could go too. And then I don't know how good the show would sound, but okay.
By the way, guys, if you want Speedy's autograph, he'll be in Islandia this week, signing his brand new Tidy Whitey lines.
No, I will not. Do not listen to him.
It's a wonderful line.
Nope.
So stay tuned for that.
I am not doing that.
Signing
Regardless of
autographs.
circumstance, whether
He will be signing
in a
autographs.
pandemic.
He's a liar.
No.
He's a
Don't listen
liar.
to him.
He's a liar.
Anyways, that's it for our show. We will be back on Wednesday. Until then, this is Errol Marks and the great Speedy Petey saying good night and tighty-whitey ho. Good night, everybody.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.